What up, though? Welcome to the Leach and Easy Invasion, formerly known as the Blank and Bell Show. But we are here. We have arrived. Me, my young dog, Nick Leach. What up, though?
What up, though?
We have a big show planned for you guys. A big guest coming up. We're going to speak to NFL Network's and former Lions wide receiver Nate Burleson. Matter of fact,
I can't. I gotta stop you real quick. I don't know if anyone's ever butchered my last name that bad.
I'm a substitute teacher part-time, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
But it's a good way. Breaks the ice pretty easy for both of us.
Is there Aaron here?
Yeah. No, man, I'm happy to be here. Huge guest that we landed minutes before the show. Shout out to you, Easy. I couldn't be more excited to talk to Nate here in just a couple minutes.
And with that said, let's bring him on. What up, though, Nate?
What up, though?
Oh, snap. Can you hear us?
What's good? Can you guys hear me? Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Yes, sir. Can you hear us? Oh, not yet.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Definitely hear you guys, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
What? I appreciate you coming on, man. I hit you up, last minute. I sent you the call. I'm like, look, man, if you could make it, I'd really appreciate it. And you came through in the clutch, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on the Leach and Easy show, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, we invaded. Usually this is Joik's, Joik's on here typically from 11 to 1. And, Joik's birthday was this, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. He went OTC. He went out of town, out of country. Left us. Yeah, as some may say.
Yeah, he was turning up, man. He didn't even give me an invite. You know what I'm saying? That's supposed to be my dog.
Damn.
But, I'm going to catch up with him soon. And, you got to excuse the noise in the background. It's crazy out here in New York City.
You're good, man. I appreciate you joining. Former Lions wide receiver. We obviously have some inexperience in the wide receiver room this year. I just got to ask, have you ever had an experience like that, the young wide receiving core, and what are your expectations with for the Lions this year?
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I remember, being on the Minnesota Vikings, and we traded away Randy Moss. And, I remember thinking to myself, like, dang, we got to be out of our minds to trade away a superstar like Randy. And they were looking at me and a bunch of young guys saying, we need you to step up. You got to grow up fast in this league. I get it. Marvin Jones is gone. Kenny Galladay gone. They didn't bring Amendola back. Like, this is the golden opportunity. And you have a guy in Jared Goff that understands what it's like to play with young wideouts. So there's almost an advantage in that, But more than anything, though, the tight end position is going to have to be key. And, the Lions have one of the best tight ends in the business. I mean, that dude is seriously on his way to becoming an absolute superstar.
Hell yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Nate. My question for you is, out of these young guys that we have in that receiver room, who are you looking at to kind of step up and be that number one guy for Goff?
It's crazy. I keep, going back to the tight end position because T.J. Hockenson can turn into the leading receiver, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I've been on offenses where our tight end was the go-to guy. You look at the San Francisco 49ers. I know George Kittle's actually one of his boys. Like, if you're asking me who's the number one threat on that offense, it's George Kittle. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, game in and game out, it might switch and it might rotate who's going to make the biggest play. But as far as consistency, who Patrick Mahomes leans on, it's Travis Kelce. So for me, Jared Goff, who loves throwing to tight ends, if you look at him and a lot of his playmaking that he did in Los Angeles, he was leaning on the tight ends that he had on that roster. So if I'm looking at fantasy, and this isn't any disrespect to my young wideouts in that wide receiver room, I'm going with T.J. Hockenson as a guy that's going to put up huge numbers.
That's what's up. Out of that wide receiver core, is there any one of them that you, I guess, familiarized with or that you would pick to be a leader out of the wide receiver group?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have to be a collective. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not one guy that's going to step up. I remember when the Minnesota Vikings told me straight up and down, like, Nate, we expect you to be our number one guy. And I was 22 at the time, and I was looking at my head coach saying, I don't even think I'm ready to take on that type of responsibility. And, to be honest, I wasn't. So for me, it's not about one individual stepping up. It's about the collection. And to be honest, the running backs are going to have to step up big. DeAndre Swift, I think, is just now scratching the surface on his career. And as much as we keep talking about the Lions not having a running game and not having a 1,000-yard running back and a 100-yard runner since 2013 when Reggie Bush, I get that we're exercising those demons, but catching the ball out the backfield, screen plays, and dump offs, that's going to be big in this offense as well.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I don't know if I'm kind of a minority in this, but I think this group that Goff kind of has here is very reminiscent of what he had in L.A. with, I mean, a lot of people didn't know of Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods before Goff was there, and I see a lot of that here in Detroit.
Yeah, and inexperience sometimes breeds the best out of you. You know, when you have a group of guys that are unfamiliar, I've been there time and time again. Even when I signed in Seattle, like I was one of those guys that was part of this collection of athletes, and we had Matt Hasselbeck throwing us the rock, and nobody expected us to do anything. It's good when you fly under the radar. Listen, you don't have to be Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. You don't have to be Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. You know, you don't have to be Allen Robinson and whoever's going to start. You know, maybe it's Jalen, Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears. You don't have to be a superstar name in order to make a superstar impact. This is a perfect position to be in, though. The mass exodus of pass catchers on any team, that leaves opportunity for guys that are left on the roster.
With that said, what are your expectations for the Lions this year, record-wise or even just improvement-wise, under the new leadership with Dan Campbell in the Goff?
Record-wise is tough, man, because I was hoping that Aaron Rodgers didn't show up. I was hoping that lasted a little bit longer, because it would have gave everybody else in that division a little bit more confidence. But I mean, you know, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I can't bet against them. I mean, they weren't a game away. They were a play away from the Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins, they extended him a couple of more years with the Vikings, and they got dogs on both sides of the ball. You know, I'm not sitting here saying the Lions are going to bring up the rear. I just feel like a sleeping lion is still a lion you have to worry about. So you can allow everybody to sleep on the team. You just gotta get some wins early in the season, and some wins that matter that you can take with you that are confidence builders going into the end of the year. Kirk Cousins has exercised some demons as well. You know, he's been one of those guys who's won on the big stage, and now you don't say that with Kirk Cousins anymore. Well, he can't win at night. He can't win on the big stage. All right. Well, same thing with Jared Goff. Jared Goff took his team to the Super Bowl and got shipped away, disregarded. So he has a lot to prove within this offense. Dan Campbell and the coaching staff, I mean, you know, people love to crack jokes on his press conferences. I mean, even we do it on the show. But every player I talk to on their roster, they love Dan Campbell. And that's a big sign, because not every coach that gets a job gets the validation of the team. Sometimes these coaches come in and you can read right through it. They don't have the temperature of the team. They don't feel the energy of the team. But everything that Dan Campbell says seems like the Lions parallel it.
And how do you think that equates, like, moving forward into the future? I think, obviously, a lot of us Lions fans don't expect much out of this season. Yeah, we're hopeful. We're always going to root for them. But when you hear things coming out of camp, and you got a lot of players, coaches, with Aaron Glenn in there, Deuce Staley, do you think that bodes well for the Lions going into free agency, where you can get maybe some more of the high-profile guys that want to come here to Detroit to play some football?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Aaron Glenn. We actually crossed paths in the league. He's one of the best coaches in the business, you know, and he's passionate about the game, knows his stuff. But, yeah, it definitely does. And I think there was a shift that happened, you know, around 2010, where Detroit Lions weren't looked at as the armpit of the NFL. And people weren't cracking jokes on the city. And when they came in to play us, they showed not only the team, but our city some respect. So this is a landing spot. When a team makes that leap from being irrelevant to being a contender, that's one thing. But when you go from being a contender to being one of the dominant squads, that's when it changes the complexion of where you want to go as far as a free agent. I mean, you look at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills for so long was like, oh man, it's cold out in Buffalo. There's nothing to do in Buffalo. We know them for losing those 4 Super Bowls back in the 90s. But now, like, if you're a free agent, you're like, you know what? I would like to play in Buffalo because they got superstars. And we know year in and year out, they're going to have a chance to be in the playoffs. Stephon Diggs, I know it was a trade, but for a high-profile guy like that to land there after a trade and then have the season he had, that's big. All it takes is for one guy to be a premier player, a couple of guys to make a Pro Bowl, and for the Lions to make make the playoffs, it really changes the perception of a landing spot for free agents.
You were one of those guys for us, man. You came here, embraced the city. You started Lions Blood clothing line. I was buying tees back in 2013. I appreciate you, man.
Nah, I appreciate the love, man. Listen, it was a joy to play for the Lions. I'm a Leo, so I thought it was only fitting for me to represent the way I did. And the city was going through it, man. There was a lot going on. You know, the city actually went bankrupt when I was there. And, you know, you would talk to guys on the team, and they didn't involve themselves. They weren't 10 toes down. They didn't show up at schools and go talk to kids and try to motivate the youth. They didn't experience the culture. And for anybody that knows anything about Michigan, man, it's culturally diverse. The people are good. The food is even better. And the nightlife is incredible when it's popping. So it's one of the best hidden gems if you don't know. So that's why I was always so vocal about it. And even now to this day, man, I'm going to represent Detroit till I die.
That's what's up, man.
Well, and I think that's why Nate holds a special place in a lot of Detroiters' hearts still. Speaking of a guy that grew up in Detroit, I mean, you were one of the first people that kind of embraced that culture and wanted to be here and did everything to kind of help rebuild this city. And I get people may not think you can do it through sports, but you just give it a different image, and you can do that. So speaking for me, Nate, you'll always have a spot here in Detroit regardless of where you're at.
I appreciate that, man. It was a fun 4 years. There was nothing like it. And, you know, some great stuff came from it. Matt Stafford, I know he's not on the team anymore, but, you know, he had a great run. And, you know, we're going to appreciate that years down the line. And even more recent news this weekend.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask you.
The greatest Hall of Famers, one of the greatest players to ever play the game is going into the Hall of Fame. So, you know, Detroit can hang their hat on that. Like, he's one of our guys. We got another one in the Hall.
Yeah, hell yeah. We got to go to break real quick. I appreciate you joining in. I did want to ask one last question, though, because you could spit a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I heard you dropping some bars, Nate. You got any
no doubt.
Detroit rappers you want to shout out, or any ones that you mess with?
Oh, come on, man. First of all, you got to shout out to the legendary Trick. You know, shout out to Big Sean, who really transcended what, you know, an artist in Detroit can be.
For sure.
You know, T Grizzly, you know, keeps it all the way gully. But one of the greatest rappers ever is Royce the 5'9". No doubt about it in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Royce is my favorite rapper, period. He's lyrical. He's complex. You know, he gets busy, man. So, yeah, Detroit, man, definitely one of the best hip-hop states. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be dropping some bars soon. You might see me with a collaboration with the Detroit artists.
Bro, when I hear it, and I hear you like on the NFL Network, or like I think it's CBS they have you on too sometimes, but I'm like, bro, this guy's like way too good just to be doing this like casually, bro. like, bro, this blows my mind.
You like, nah, like he needs to chill with all this, like,
bro. I'm like, whoa. Hey,
I'm gonna drop some stuff soon, though, man. Just do it for the culture because I love hip hop so much. So, you know, look forward to it. I'll premiere it on the show. I'll come back on.
Hey, man, I appreciate you joining us, man. And when that happens, for sure, hit me up. We'll definitely get together and get that going. We're going to go to break real quick. We'll finish up with the show. Nate, I'm going to hop back in your DMs and figure something else out, too. I want to get you back on the show sometime.
Definitely, man. Y'all be easy, all right?
All right, Nate. Sir. Appreciate you.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
What up, though, again? Welcome back to the... Oh, my God. I almost called you Lynch again, bro.
You got to get it together, man.
Leach and Easy Show, otherwise known as the Midday Show. We are taking over. We have hacked the mainstreams, audio, video, all that above, and we're ready to put on a dope-ass show for you. Nick, what do you got on the schedule for us, man?
So, obviously, we just had Nate Burleson on. What a huge get there. Shout out to you, Easy. That was pretty sweet for you to pull off, but... I mean, football's back, right? We had the Hall of Fame game kickoff last night between the Steelers and the Cowboys. I mean, I don't think anyone really cares that much about the score or anything like that. Steelers, however, did win 16-3. I think one of the most important things to look at is I think a lot of eyes were on Najee Harris making his NFL debut, you could say.
Yep.
Played well into the second quarter and had 7 carries for 22 yards. Not anything special by any means, but those are one of the names that you're going to look for. I think every first preseason game, you're not really out there trying to say, oh, this guy's going to be this. It's just, can he make the right decisions in his first appearance, I guess.
No, I agree. That's who I kept an eye on. And I was also looking for Dwayne Haskins and jumping improvement for him, too, because I know with Big Ben aging, he's definitely like not the same guy. I was actually kind of surprised he came back this year just because of the amount of money they're paying him. And, like, he's not been performing to, like, that level at all. I feel like it's, like, I don't want to say disrespectful to, like, the team and franchise because I get it. You get your money, you know what I'm saying, because he's still on contract. But, like, I don't know, bro. Like, let them move on, man. Like,
and it sounds like, too, like Arthur Blank sat there and said that the door's kind of open for him to return next year if he wants to come back. I mean, I watched Dwayne Haskins a little bit last night. It wasn't anything too flashy. I believe he maybe went like 3 for 6 and kind of missed some easy throws. So he wasn't that impressive to me to start off, which as a guy like that who's kind of trying to rehabilitate his career already this early, you're looking for him to kind of come out and light up a little bit, and you just didn't really see that with him to kick off the preseason. So Pittsburgh, I think, is kind of in for a rough season. We all saw last year they started off 11-0 and then lost the last 5 out of 6 games.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a bit more indicative of how their season's going to go. And then switching gears to the Cowboys. Cowboys get their man Dak back after a gruesome ankle injury.
Yep.
I look for Zeke to have a bounce-back year. You got CeeDee Lamb out on the outside that I think is going to have an absolutely monster year. So as long as that team stays healthy, I do believe that the Cowboys are the team to beat in the NFC East.
what? For real?
No doubt about it.
Oh, I fucking hate the Cowboys.
I mean, I do
I'm
too.
totally biased, but I hate the Cowboys.
I hate the Cowboys as well.
I mean, no, you might be right. You know, unless the Eagles, we don't know what Jalen Hurts is capable of. For the NFC East, yeah, you're probably on the money with that one. For me, last night's matchup, and it wasn't a real football game, but it was kind of like, you know, Cowboys are America's team, right? But truthfully, they're America's brand because, like, there's 2 gentlemen up here right now who say fuck the Cowboys. I'm sorry if you're a Cowboys fan, but I'm actually not. But I think it was like America's America's team versus America's actual team in Pittsburgh because they're like a blue collar team.
Yeah.
I think the most championships in NFL history, Super Bowl championships at least. I mean, you got to watch that. It was still only preseason, but it's still cool to hear from Peyton Manning and just like. But I guess I was reminded of that greatness of the Pittsburgh Steelers last night and all the players they've had and like the legends and stuff that they've brought through. They said a fun fact last night. I think it was like since 1969 or some shit like that. They've only had 3 coaches within the franchise.
Yeah, isn't that crazy to think about?
That's fucking crazy.
And the Lions
man.
have had what 3 in the last 6-7 years?
Yeah, facts, man. I hope we could establish a culture like that and build something like that. If to relate it to the Lions, a fun fact, Mike Tomlin actually got down and did some downs with his team in his first year, too. If that makes anybody
Hey, that could be a good omen, hopefully, for us. But I've seen a lot of shows and a lot of kind of coverage on the NFL so far this year, but I think as you and I kind of being younger guys, the reason we want to kind of talk about preseason is we haven't really heard too much talk about fantasy football, right? Yeah. I think everybody and their brother plays fantasy football. I know I have 3-4 different leagues that I participate in, so I'm big into it, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners are as well. So I kind of want to shift the gears into kind of getting into some of that and what we all expect out of fantasy football this year. I mean, some guys from like if you were to have the first round pick in your fantasy football league, who do you think you're going with?
Like number 1 overall?
Yeah, number 1 overall.
You just want to expose my hand like that?
Yeah, absolutely. No one's going to be able to take it if you got the first pick.
You want a fun fact? I don't hate fantasy football. But I hate you're a psychopath, by the way. 3 to 4 leagues. How do you even fucking?
Bro, I don't know. You just kind of got to roll with it.
You're just rooting against yourself every Sunday.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're gonna have Christian McCaffrey in one league, and then you're going against him in another, and it just does nothing but pisses you off. But hey, that's what we're here for, trying to make some money.
I know we're sponsored by MyBookie, but the daily fantasy is like where I'm at. That's what I love because like there's none of that bullshit like oh fuck I had a bye week or especially when someone's like yapping their fucking mouth like heading into the matchup and then they lose and they're like man my guy was hurt. And it's like daily you pick your lineup like that day and a guy I think could be consistent if healthy number 1 overall from doing those whack ass drafts is Christian McCaffrey. CMC. Whenever he plays, he explodes. I mean, just as I had him in my league last year, he only played like 4 or 5 games, but every game he played, I want to say almost 30 points for me in PPR.
Ooh, that's interesting. My guy's Derrick Henry. If you get the first overall pick, I don't know how you shy away from him.
Yeah.
Especially now with Julio Jones on the outside. Ryan Tannehill is not any slouch by any means. he doesn't seem to get enough respect in the league for what he's done the last 2 years.
I know.
But I think Derrick Henry is going to have an even better year than he did last year, just because you got Julio and you got A.J. Brown on the outside now, too. It's just like, how are you going to stop that offense?
No, that's a great point. I can see that. The only thing that concerns me about Derrick Henry is, like, has anyone ever done, like, he just carries a big fucking load.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he'd be able to do that 3 years in a row. Like, the NFL football, you played in high school and stuff like that. You know, you wake up like day after a game, you have like random bruises. You're like, I don't even remember how I fucking even got that. Like, it made no sense. He's in the NFL playing like 6'4", 300-pound men. I mean, that wears on your body, man. You think he'll be able to carry that again this year?
I mean, that guy's playing what seems to be a different sport than a lot of the. I mean,
that's true.
He's running over defensive ends that are pushing 280, 290 that are smaller than he, or almost the same size as he is. And for me, it's like watching like a high schooler play like pee-wee football and just going out and just dominating. That's what Derrick Henry reminds me of, and his numbers speak to that volume. And he's projected to be, I think, the #1 back in most fantasy leagues this year. And I think with Christian McCaffrey's injury history, it's kind of hard to take a guy like that because he does have that, and Derrick Henry doesn't. Derrick Henry has been pretty healthy for the last 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
I got a question. When it comes to fantasy leagues, how much of a cheater are you if I was to pay Adam like $50 or something and he does all my picks for me? Like picks.
That's fine.
That's fine?
I'm telling you, Art, like that's why I like detest them so much. Is that like
Nick gave that look though? Nick gave that look like I don't know about that.
It's people who do auto draft, but it's just like it's truly like luck at times, man. Like CMC, like Dick, you know he's a fucking beast, right?
Yeah.
But you just don't know when this guy's gonna be healthy. So you could pick like that, and like you're strategic and smart to pick that guy. A freak accident happens, or like scenarios where like Adrian Peterson I had one year, when he whooped his son, and then he was on what they call it, commissioner.
Yeah.
Whatever list. Like just random shit happens and you make a full-time commitment to these guys. You're paying money to like go into the league. It's just like I'd rather do a daily league. Still have the matchups every week, but just pick a new team. Like I feel like it's more skill-based that way too.
Yeah, but I mean, circling back to Art's question, if you come into a fantasy league and you're having someone else pick your team, I'm going to do everything I can to get you kicked out of that league. Because what are you doing here?
Wow, you're that guy?
I'm not that guy, but
the same guy that's saying the Lions are going to go 10-7, is he going to make the best fantasy picks?
Fuck
no.
It can happen though, Art. That's what pisses me off too.
I finished third last year, and I just picked it based on I picked AJ Green because I like weed. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a cool name, and he did all right.
But you understand? Do you have people who like auto pick their teams and they end up like in the playoffs? And shit
I've actually seen that happen before. And actually, the guy that won our league last year, we were actually buddies. Got together and we were all outside bullshitting before the draft started at 7, and the draft went live, and the guy that had the first and second pick had their team auto drafted, and the one guy was throwing a fit about having it auto drafted and this and that. He ended up with Derrick Henry and went on to win the championship. No problem. So for me, it's just like if he was actually picking, he could have screwed that pick up, and someone else could have ended up with Derrick Henry, and the entire landscape of the league kind of changes from that.
To answer your question, Art. And no offense to you, it's definitely a beta cuck move, but you win either way. It doesn't matter ultimately.
Fishy, what do you got?
A lot of people don't understand, like, oh my god, you're cheating if you use auto draft. A lot of times auto draft messes you because they're just choosing the best available player.
Right.
So it doesn't matter whether it's a quarterback or a wide receiver or tight end. You could have 8 quarterbacks because you auto draft.
Well, I think
so auto draft screws some people.
I think the algorithms actually have it set up now. It used to be that way, but the algorithms now have it set up to where it fills your lineup first, like your starting lineup, and then it goes into just the best available bench player. So, I mean, they at least have that instituted, which makes auto draft even that much more dumb now.
Man, I kind of want to keep talking fantasy, but I got to tell you about something else. You can make some money. Fantasy is kind of like betting. You know where we bet at Woodward Sports? MyBookie.ag. Use promo code Woodward to match your deposit up to 50% and make your bets on all Lions games. Now, I can't tell you how many you're going to win. Oh, I can tell you about a tweet I made earlier. I'll tell you when you come back, though. But, make sure you head out to MyBookie.ag, use the promo code Woodward, and match your deposit up to 50% and make some money. Woodward Sports. We'll see you soon.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
What up, though? Welcome back to the Leach and Easy Show, and I fucking said it. I did it. Let's go.
About time you got it right, baby.
Was that seriously the worst that's ever been butchered?
That's by far the worst.
No one's ever said Lynch?
Everyone's always got Leach the first time.
I don't believe you, bro. You've never had a substitute teacher.
No, dude, it's Leach. It's not that. It's not really not that hard. To get.
I've seen him fuck up everything. All right, fine. Fuck
you
me.
just might be the worst substitute teacher of all time.
I'm actually not a substitute teacher. Definitely not qualified. Don't let me teach your kids anything other than we'll not go there. Anyway, because we have other topics, but I kind of want to finish like the fantasy thing.
Yeah.
So you had Derrick Henry #1. Who else is on that list?
I mean, you got running back wise. Look, every fantasy league you have to go looking at your running backs, right? So, no brainer. Dalvin Cook's up there. Zeke Elliott's going to have a bounce back year with Dak Prescott back. Excuse me. Alvin Kamara is going to get a bigger workload now that Drew Brees is gone. So that dynamic will be interesting to see how that works with Taysom Hill down there. And your boy Jameis Winston. The running back position obviously always easy. You can look down the list and pick your guys out. But my players to kind of watch this season is to look at like a guy like J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be the lead running back in Baltimore this year with Lamar Jackson. Run heavy offense there in Baltimore. I think he could stand to have a breakout year. He had flashes of brilliance last year. Again, I already mentioned Julio in Tennessee. I think Julio can have I would say a bounce-back year for him. He didn't have the best year in Atlanta. Now the door's open for Calvin Ridley down there in Atlanta. Mike Evans didn't have a big year with Tom Brady there. And I think you see that a lot with Tom Brady's offenses is that it will become more of a team-centric dynamic down there. But I do expect Mike Evans to have a bit better year than he did last year. And then obviously you got to look at a guy like Odell, who's coming back from injury. Stafford out in L.A. I expect him to have a huge year with Kupp and Robert Woods on the outside as long as he can stay healthy. And I think a dark horse running back that a lot of people aren't talking about is Damian Harris up in New England.
Wow.
I could actually see him having kind of a breakout year that is kind of flying under the radar for a lot of people.
Let me ask you this real quick, because we're talking about fantasy. We're obviously Detroit Lions fans. On the Detroit Lions squad, who's like valuable in fantasy to you this year?
I mean, you have to look at what Nate Burleson just kind of said here on the show. TJ Hawkinson's going to be the #1 pass catcher in that offense. But I'm looking at DeAndre Swift to have a breakout year. I mean, last year he had 189 points in fantasy in a PPR league. If you don't play PPR league, I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And average 14.6 per game. So I look for him to have an even bigger year, especially now that you don't have that outside threat. It didn't matter. When Stafford was here, you had outside threat. Kenny Galladay was on the outside.
Yeah.
He made players around him better. So I look to be a run-heavy offense. We've seen that with Anthony Lynn in L.A. with the Chargers, with Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon when he was there. So I honestly expect DeAndre Swift to be potential of a top 5 running back in this league this year.
No, I'm with you. I think him for sure. He's like training wise too, in his management. He's the same camp as Alvin Kamara. I mean, that's another guy you see out of the backfield taking passes, screen plays, bubble screens, like all that kind of stuff. I definitely see that being in DeAndre Swift's bag this year, along with Jamal Williams. Cop those two for sure. Like if you gotta get Swift this year, I think you should definitely get Jamal Williams. But did you see the reports earlier in the year about Jamal actually maybe the starting running back?
Well, yeah, I saw that. I saw a little bit of that. And what it sounds like, it could be a little bit like that dynamic that was down in New Orleans with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
And I could see, I believe Jamal Williams will be a pretty good flex player for most lineups this year. I mean, he may not be an RB1 or RB2, but he's going to be catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. Look, Goff doesn't throw the ball deep downfield very accurately. And we'll touch on that here in a little bit when we get back from our next break. But I expect a lot of short routes, and that starts with your running back, especially when you got two guys in Williams and DeAndre Swift who are known to catch the ball out of the backfield. So, again, if you're in a PPR league, those are two guys that are going to have close to maybe 15 points every single week.
Yeah, non-PPR leagues is like equivalent to like missionary. It's just boring. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, then you have to your draft picks have to be all running backs, right? You're not. I mean, unless you're going for a guy like Stephon Diggs, who has the potential to put up 200 yards every single week with Josh Allen just chucking the ball downfield. But
you want to hear a hot take?
Oh, what do you got?
I don't think Hawk will have as great as a year as everyone's expecting, just because he's very clearly the main focal point of this offense, receiving wise, and I think he's going to see a lot more coverage in that too. If he does have a big year, then we have a true superstar.
Yeah,
but
so I've been thinking about this a lot too, because I had that same thought process, but you're not going to have your number 1 corner, your number 2 corner coming inside to play TJ Hawkinson. You're going to have a nickel back that's probably not your best. Yeah, he could be a great nickel back, but he's not your best corner on that defense, right? So, and yeah, he may be blanketed by the safety, but we've seen with George Kittle. George Kittle is undoubtedly, him and Kelsey are undoubtedly the best 1-2 tight ends in the league, and those guys still, everyone knows, and I get like KC is a little bit different, but I look at San Fran, who doesn't really have a cut and clear wideout like we were just talking about with Nate. So I still think Hawk is going to get his numbers, especially on the short routes, because he's very quick. He can run that outpost to the sideline that I don't think some of these corners are going to be able to keep up with, and his physicality is next to, he's going to be able to shove around a 5'11", 5'10" nickelback with no issues whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's the case, man. And we're going to find out this year for sure whether he's a stud in real life and both in fantasy. And speaking of the Detroit Lions, and they're obviously in training camp, our boy Corey Wood's there, but so is our boy Everything King. If you guys consume Detroit Lions content on YouTube, you guys know who Everything King is. He'll be joining us briefly after the break. I'm going to agree with you, though, on because we're definitely going to be like a dink-dunk type offense. I'm not 100% sold on Hawk being – all right, actually, yeah, give me this. Who would you rather have actually had in the fantasy this year, Hawkinson or Swift?
I mean, for me, it's DeAndre Swift all day. I think it's –
I'm thinking too.
Like I just said, Anthony Lynn has proven to go run heavy, even – with the pass catchers
successfully
out of the
too.
Successfully.
Like, look at all the times that Melvin Ingram went down, even when Austin Eckler went down. You know, Justin Kelly jumped in and was just like they never skipped a beat. I'm pumped.
And they've talked about it. They said they're probably going to be a run heavy offense to start this year. So I look for that to happen. So I'm big on that, but I don't think you can go wrong with. Tight ends are kind of a premium in fantasy football and just across the NFL as well. Like Zach Ertz, who had been one of those top 5 guys, had a terrible season last year. So now you're looking, I do think Hawk can put himself up there with a Kelsey or with a George Kittle. Now it's all going to be based on how good of a season Goff has. But like I said, like don't sleep on Goff necessarily. Like those offenses, one of the greatest football games I've ever watched was between LA and Kansas City, when I think the final score was 67-65 or somewhere along the line.
It's crazy.
It was just an absolute offensive shootout. And
the best game I've ever seen in my life.
And that doesn't happen by chance. Like if you put the right offense and you get the right guys around him, and I believe the offense has those pieces. Yeah, we may not have that star-studded receiver, but like Nate Burleson just said here on the show, is like sometimes you don't need that. San Fran doesn't have that. They went to the Super Bowl. I mean, I look at Jared Goff. I get the analytics say Jared Goff isn't the guy, but I'm on board with Jared Goff right now until he proves otherwise. That I do believe he could actually be successful here in Detroit.
Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous?
I mean, it's easy to say, but look what he did. Look what he came in and did last year. I mean, the guy had a torn ligament in his thumb, had surgery, and then came back and still won a playoff game.
I'll say this though: look at the coaching staff differences. Like, there's a proven and I get we do have high hopes, and me personally, I do have high hopes for this coaching staff as well. But like this year, I gotta see it first. I have that. You know what I'm saying? Well, plus, some of the things coming out of camp. I mean, we had it on the show, Doc, today. Anyways, like, dude's not looking that great.
Yeah, but I mean, people still. How long have they said Jared Goff hasn't looked great for it? And look where we're moving to. I don't want to touch too much on it now because I know we're going to talk with our boy in a little bit about it. So we'll save that. But if you had the choice between Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, or DeAndre Hopkins, which receiver are you going with?
DeAndre Hopkins, actually. I put him on my top 5 list. I think him having AJ Green there is going to loosen the stuff up for him. I think he'll be first of all, I think skill-wise, Devontae Adams, I think, is probably maybe the best route runner, or one of the best route runners in the NFL right now. But overall, when you include the catching, the athleticism, the size, the hands, I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Because Devontae Adams also has Aaron Rodgers helping him out a little bit there, too. That'll make you look good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I think Devontae Adams having A.J. Green, I don't know he hasn't been the greatest, on the opposite side of the field of him, but he's also been expected to be number 1. He also hasn't been the greatest offensive team collectively around him. So I think that opened things up for Hopkins. And I like Kyler Murray a lot, too.
Yeah.
And I think that it's for Cliff Kingsbury, he really has to prove himself this year because, they've been exciting to watch, but towards the end of the year, they've never actually cut it into the playoffs since then. They've been a fun team. They've been in the mix, but they've never actually did the damn thing. So I think they're going to, make a push to actually do something, and Hopkins is a big part of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and your boy Kyler struggled a little bit last year too, which I don't think most people expected, but I think defenses are kind of starting to figure out what he's like. But I love D-Hop as well, but I think it becomes more on Kyler Murray than it does DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and we definitely want to touch back on the golf news, some of the rumors around camp, and if you're shopping for some of these college quarterbacks, man. And we'll get back to when we come back. Woodward Sports.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We're recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back to the Leach and Easy Show. Hit the like button so everybody else can know we here.
We out here. We doing the thing.
No, but honestly, if you guys are watching on YouTube, Twitter, definitely YouTube and Facebook, hit the like button, man. Like, help us with the algorithm. We like our jobs, and we kind of want to keep them. Just saying.
We definitely want to do some more of this. So hit that like button, hit the share button, tell your friends, tell your mom.
Yeah. And if you don't, I ain't going to do shit. But speaking of people keeping their jobs, Jared Goff is he like on a tryout this year, you think, like with the Lions? Like, a lot of people referring to him as a bridge quarterback. People have us in like mock drafts taking some of these quarterbacks coming in. What's your take on Goff this year, and are you looking at any of these college quarterbacks and hopeful that we get them?
Look, I mean, it's plain and simple. The Lions kind of have a win-win situation this year, right? You traded away Stafford. You got a couple first-round picks back for him. You have your first pick coming in this year's draft. So I look at this as, like, if Goff goes out there and be successful, I mean, Brad Holmes looks like a genius, right?
Yeah.
But if he goes out there and struggles, Lions find themselves in the top 5 for the NFL draft this year, then you have to start looking at some of the names on the list. Like, are you going to go with Spencer Rattler? Are you going with Slovis from USC?
Yeah.
I think those are kind of the 1-2 guys that you have to pay attention to. But like I said, I don't like the slate for me on Jared Goff is clean right now. He's gone to the Super Bowl. I get everyone loved Matthew Stafford here. I love Matthew Stafford, but he never won a playoff game. We got a quarterback here that's won multiple playoff games.
Let's get an update on our quarterback with my man, Everything King. He's live at training camp right now. What up, though, King?
What's going on, fellas? Live here at camp. Had a pretty good day here at camp. Didn't really see any long balls today from Jared Goff like I wanted to, but we got some pretty good passes across the middle. TJ Hawkinson looked like it's going to be his bread and butter this season, so not bad.
How are they looking up against that first-team defense? Are they able to move the ball, or is it still looking kind of – because I know early reports is looking kind of sloppy, from what you were telling me, too.
Yeah, a lot of drop passes today from the receiving core. That continues to be a big concern, man. The receiving core is we're trying to find that guy, you know what I'm saying, that guy that he's comfortable with. But, like I said, a lot of passes to TJ, a lot of passes in the flats and to the running backs, and that's about it.
Yeah, King, how is that defense approaching the Hawkinson? Are they blanketing him with the safety over the top? Is it double coverage, or what are they what's the strategy they're going with?
I haven't really seen double coverage when it comes to Hawkinson. Hawkinson is, I honestly don't think they're giving it everything they got right now. I think it's just a show for the fans, to be honest. You can tell that they're holding back a lot. But yeah, I haven't really seen double coverage for Hawkinson.
Okay. So I wonder if but you think they would do that in practice though? Because like they're not game planning double coverage our own tight end though. You know what I'm saying? They're probably like running their schemes.
Yeah, and like it's not. I haven't seen enough to really get a good measurement. I've seen a lot of short passes, and I've been here all week. A lot of short passes, 5-yarders, cuts across the middle. That's about it. As far as guys getting down the field in the passing game, there was a point today where the crowd was actually cheering. They were chanting Jared Goff's name because they wanted to see him throw the ball. So we got a lot from the backup quarterbacks today.
Speaking of the backup quarterbacks, our guy Corey Woods was telling me that Tim Boyle's looking nice in the deep ball. Dave Burkett even went and wrote an article about him. Is there Is it because before when we signed him, by the way, Nick, I don't know if you saw this. I think I texted to you last night. There was a Packers reporter who said, "Don't be surprised if you uproot Goff for the starting job." Is it looking that way? Like, is it really like that out there right now?
I'm not going to believe that. No, you know,
okay.
I mean, let's be serious here, but yes, he has been the guy that has been feeding my hunger for some long ball activity. He's been looking pretty good. Also, another note is as far as the receiving core, Bolden's been making his thing though. He's the guy that I've been seeing during this weekend camp that's been catching long balls.
Okay, but that's from backup guy, right? Not Goff.
Yeah, backup guy.
Yeah, because Goff ain't going long. We know that.
Do you think we're getting too far? Like camp just started. Do you think everyone's kind of getting too far ahead of themselves when they're kind of going at Goff and what they've seen thus far in camp?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, for people like me that's here, we're at camp all the time every year. We know what's for show and what's what's really the real deal. And I think a lot of things we're doing right now is for the fans. To be honest, I absolutely don't believe that Jared Goff is going to be bad as a lot of people say. I think he's going to do a pretty good job this season with what he has. But what he has is the biggest problem. He doesn't have a receiver for him. So, yeah, he's going to do what he has.
Yeah, and that's what Nate Burleson obviously was just here on the show when we were talking about it with him is the receiving core reminds us, at least reminds me a lot of like Cooper Kupp and Tyrell. You got small kind of speedy guys that are going to run a lot of quick post routes, and that's what I expect this Lions offense to do this year. And maybe you kind of spread TJ out a little bit on the outside, not always playing him just off the tackle. But like you said too, is like Goff has had success with those quick slants and not really throwing the ball downfield. So like, what's it to say he's not going to, like, I don't know why everyone's so fascinated with if he can throw the ball downfield. You may only need to do that one, two, three times a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, another thing that he has in his back pocket is that running back core has been really impressive this count.
Hell yeah.
Really impressive this count. So they're going to help a lot, catching the ball. But at the same time, those guys are finding some good gaps, man. And I'm very impressed with that running back core. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Now, with the Lions finishing 32 last year in defense, we can only go up. How they looking, man?
Defense looks great.
Let's go.
You know, boneheaded little things by Peter today. A lot of people had a problem with him missing the tackle, but I picked up on his practice.
Yeah.
But the defensive line today, man, Flowers looks in supreme condition. He looks ready to go. He looks ready to go. He was making Taylor Decker look pretty bad when he was practicing.
That's a guy. Him and Jamie Collins, I really, really believe are kind of going to take a step up and really lead this defense to a lot better fortunes this year compared to what we had. Because obviously we know the guy in charge last year was probably micromanaging the hell out of that, and not really letting those guys do what they want. I fully expect Aaron Glenn to kind of let those boys do what they do best and just be dogs.
Yeah, they definitely we got an opportunity to see a good close up of the offensive line and the defensive line today, and as far as the offensive line go, I was pretty impressed, with the offensive line, but those edges, like I said, Taylor Decker was getting abused by Trey Flowers today, but Jonah Jackson looked like a man today. He was manhandling everybody who came in his direction, and as far as Panay Sewell, Flowers hit him with a spin move, but other than
Flowers
that,
is nice though.
Like a powerhouse. Yeah, but he looked like a powerhouse other than that. And Panay Sewell's a big kid, man. He's powerful. But yeah, being ready for those swim moves and those spin moves, they'll work with it. He'll be great.
Yeah, guy, real quick, because we invested heavily in that defensive tackle position this year in the draft, back-to-back picks. How are those guys looking?
Great, man. Strong, powerful. Like I said, it's not just them. It's the linebacker core looks pretty impressive right now.
Wow.
Like I mentioned in one of my videos, man, Pittman's been very impressive. He did get the pick earlier this week. He also almost had another pick the next day, but he just didn't hold on to the ball. So I was actually surprised with the linebacker core too.
King, you know we got a group chat, man. Why don't you send me none of this stuff, man?
Listen, man. I'm making my business, man. I've been super duper busy, man, with the draft and the Pistons and, of course, Lions training camp. I'm going to start dropping some things in there, man.
Bet.
All right, King, I got a question for you. Out of offensive side of the ball, offensive or defensive side of the ball, who do you kind of look to step up and be the true leader of this Detroit Lions organization this year?
I'm going to say the defense. I'm just going to say the defense. Aaron Glenn is doing an excellent job with these guys, man. You can see him out there coaching the guys up. I think that we're going to actually have a really solid run defense. But as far as our secondary go, I'm looking for Amani Oluwariye to really step up this season. I am really looking for him to step up. Everybody wants Okuda to look well, but Amani doesn't really get that much attention. And I want people to know that Amani Oluwariye, I expect to have a nice breakout season at corner.
Yeah, that was. It's funny you actually brought him up because that is kind of my guy to be. I believe Armani Warrior is going to step up and have a Pro Bowl type of season. I truly believe that. Man. He showed flashes of it last year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was still learning. Well, I mean that
both of them, man.
Cornerback core was beat up pretty heavily last year, but he stepped up. I felt like when he kind of needed to. Obviously, the games didn't go the way we wanted, but he showed flashes last year that I truly believe he could step up and be a lockdown corner in this league.
Absolutely agree.
I'm hoping so, man. Is there since you've been in camp, you probably sitting around the Kool-Aid. Oh, actually, no. Real quick before I get to that, did you get to see the fights? Did you get to see my man throw the ones and twos the other day?
Yes, I did get to see the fights.
Give us a lowdown because there's no video. No one's talking about this.
I'm not really going to call them fights. I'm going to say more like some little skirmishes. There wasn't no real punches thrown or nothing like that. Just some jersey tucking and some face mushing and some things like that. But it got real chippy. I thought I was going to see one today. It kind of got to the guys before it got there, though.
Who?
But yeah, that's about it. I was at a far distance. I couldn't exactly
the way my eyes work is
the disadvantage. Some people sit on one side, they'll go to the other field. It's 2 fields, so I couldn't really see exactly who it was. They got it together before it got to that point.
It sounded like the Amon-Ra St. Brown fight and if Fantu Metafanu. You like that? But anyway,
okay.
It sounded like
right.
Amon-Ra was kind of like pancaking them or getting them on the blocks like back to back. Was that the situation? Is that how it came about?
Yeah, and he was not liking that at all. He was man. Yeah, I thought they were really going to throw some blows out there, but he wasn't liking it, man. He was getting abused, and hey, it's no other way to put it.
Hey, I
didn't like it.
Credit to St. Brown, though. I think that kid actually knows the opportunity that he has with there not being really a clear one or clear two. That guy's coming to take some jobs this year, and if I expect him to kind of be a sneaky guy. You may not see him maybe a lot in the first week or two, but don't be surprised if that guy steps up and really be Goff's go-to guy on the outside.
Is he practicing with the ones, Amon-Ra?
Here and there.
Okay.
It's a lot of mixing. To be honest. See TJ over there with second unit today working for a short period. It's been a lot of mixing going on. It hasn't just been first team, second team. They've been mixing the guys.
Okay. All right, King. We gotta pay the bills around here. I gotta run an ad. I appreciate you tapping in, man. If you have videos, you can send them to the group chat. We got that thing going on. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever, man. I appreciate you coming through, though.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, King. Appreciate you.
All right. When we get back, we will finish off the rest of the schedule. What's cooking up next, Nick?
We're going to get into a little bit of NBA, or excuse me, not NBA talk, but a little Michigan State preview.
Let's get it. Woodward Sports.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Call hallfirst.com.
Welcome back to the Leach and Easy Takeover. That song, that commercial was lit.
Yeah, the vibes were there, weren't they?
I swear to God, like usually commercials you get like fucking sick and tired and hear them over and over again. But that one, honestly, is like I'm always just like kind of vibing too.
That makes me want to go download the Woodward Sports app.
Yeah. Where can you do that, Nick?
You can do that at the Google Play Store, App Store, whatever smartphone you got it on.
And does it play the Woodward Sports shows live?
Live.
Live
We don't
audio?
have video yet, but we got all the audio you need. So if you're in your car driving, or even if you're on the golf course, you throw that on and listen in.
So if you're listening on Facebook and YouTube and you got to go pick up your grandma, you can just put on the Woodward Sports app and listen to the Leach and Easy Takeover?
Absolutely.
Shit, y'all better do that. Y'all better do that right now.
All right, let's get into this next topic. So we've seen a lot of football talk this year. A lot about the Lions, a lot about the NFL, who's going where. But we haven't seen a lot of talk about college football yet. And I don't know if that's just people that don't want to talk about it or if expectations are low for both programs with Michigan State this year. But I've yet to see any preview with just college football just under a month away. So we got Michigan State kicking off the season at Northwestern on September 3rd, and then you got U of M kicking off at home versus Western on September 4th. So my question for you, Easy, is what are you kind of looking for out of both these programs to kind of be successful? I think obviously Michigan has the higher pedestal of what we expect versus Michigan State, but I don't know which way you root. Are you a Michigan guy? Are you a Michigan State guy? Or do you not really care for college football? What are your kind of thoughts there?
Can you put me? Yeah, here we go. Go green!
Go white, baby.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
go.
All right. I'm glad it's been confirmed. Actually, I think I knew you were a Michigan State guy.
I don't know if we have a lot of people here that are Michigan State guys. So
should we take a poll? Fish, do you give a where you at? And that
I used to be big Michigan a few years ago. Now I'm just neutral.
You just want to make sure both teams have fun, right?
Well, I want to be competitive.
Okay.
And as a fan, I just want to see good football, and we haven't necessarily seen good football from them. The game last year was close, but it was also a blowout at the same time.
Yep.
Art?
So
Walmart Wolverine. Like, I'm true and true, go blue. Kennedy, what about you?
Big Notre
Why
Dame
do you
and
let her
Ohio
even
State
talk?
gal, so woo, go Bucks, baby!
Hang on.
Wait.
What?
You knew what she is. She's Ohio.
No, she said Notre Dame, okay? So
she is Notre Dame.
Go blue.
Well,
over
because
here.
she knew we were going to
Fish,
slice their
thank
head
you.
off if she said
I'm a
Ohio
Walmart
State.
Wolverine. She is the cult leader of the Notre Dame fan club, and
She's a Catholic, the Irish.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I got to give Art a lot of credit. A lot of people aren't open to just admitting that they're a Walmart Wolverine. So props to you for actually openly admitting that.
I went to Specs Howard.
everything.
No, listen, I went to Specs Howard, and I still have yet to pay any of that debt off. So I hope Mr. Specs isn't going to come after me. Thanks for the gig,
Well,
though.
by the way, Mr. Specs will not because it's no longer there. So rest in peace, Specs Howard.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I've got no problem admitting I can't afford a Michigan scholarship. I have no, sports
Bachelor
talent
degrees,
at all.
master degrees.
Yeah, nothing. So.
You know what's funny? We had that whole conversation yesterday with Terry about snitching, and Art you just snitched on yourself.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I haven't paid my debt yet. But
Snitching on yourself is fine. It's snitching on other people that's questionable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But back to the topic, Nick. I expect to see Michigan State has like tough competition on this football schedule coming up this year.
Yep.
But with that said, Mel Tucker showed some sparks last year. I was kind of impressed with what he did. The Michigan game I didn't see coming. You know what I'm saying? We have the transfer quarterback Russo.
Yep, from Temple, Anthony Russo.
Yeah, so I mean, we get to see him hit the field. Record-wise, I don't think it'll be the greatest at the end of the year because we have some tough teams. We have Miami, I think game 4 or something like that.
Yeah, game 2. So you kick off the season at Northwestern, then you got to go down to Miami and play those boys down there. So it's a little tough start to get going, but I don't think expectations are that high for Michigan State this year. And you're looking to see what Russo could do. Who knows? Russo could come in and have a phenomenal year out of Temple. You don't know that. Our wide receiver core at Michigan State is pretty deep between Jalen Naylor and Jaden Reed. Ricky White busted out, had a big game against Michigan last year. So don't sleep on this offense too much because they could probably go out there and put some points up like we haven't seen in previous years.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule out Michigan. It's more Michigan State's kind of, for me, a lot like the Lions. It's a lot of unknown of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Mel Tucker's just going into his second season. He's starting to pull some big recruits. Just landed Antonio Gates Jr. So
yes, sir.
I think Mel Tucker's going to give Harbaugh and those boys in Michigan it's kind of a run for the competition when it comes to recruits in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Especially after the loss that Michigan took to Mel Tucker in just his first matchup against them last year. So, like I said, you said it yourself. Michigan State does have a tough schedule. You got Ohio State. You got Michigan. But I'm kind of looking at Michigan State to kind of be a 6-6 team, kind of somewhere in the road.
Yeah.
I look for them to take a little bit bigger step than what they did last year and just kind of progress and try to rebuild that program back to their winning Rose Bowl days.
Yeah, and then you have Michigan with kind of the opposite. They kind of have a cupcake schedule. And I don't think the expectations for them to actually be a good team is there, but you got to get these wins because, like, you look at the teams on here, like I said, no disrespect to the programs, but they're kind of cupcake. Not too many blue chip guys here. I mean, Wisconsin's there earlier on, but I think they should clean up on a lot of these games.
Well, I think the best thing for Harbaugh and the boys in blue at Michigan too is to not really have expectations. They're not ranked nationally coming into the season, right? Last time they came into the season unranked, I believe, was in Harbaugh's first year, and they ended up being, I think it was 4 or 5 or somewhere around there by the time the end of the season rolled on. So Harbaugh seems to do better when he doesn't have the expectations on his head. Granted, yeah, the Michigan fan base is going to be looking for him to do more this year. But I look at the schedule too. Like you said, yeah, the Week 3 matchup between Wisconsin is going to be a bit tough. But I could easily see Michigan State kicking off the season 9-0. And then falling right into their kind of Michigan ways that we've seen under Harbaugh. You got the final 3 games of the season at Michigan State, at Penn State, and then at home against Ohio State. Do I think Michigan is going to get their first win against Ohio State under Harbaugh? No, I don't. Or excuse me, first big game. But I do think the potential is there to kick off the season 9-0. I don't rule that out of happening.
No, they definitely have. He has a lot to prove this year. Like, I almost feel like, and I know he got the extension, which, by the way, it blew my fucking mind. I didn't know if he was going to have a job this year. I'm saying he has to beat Ohio State this year, in my opinion. Like, how? I don't know. I just don't understand. And I do understand that by this point is like if they got rid of Jim Harbaugh, who's next? Like, who do you replace that with? But you look at a program like Michigan State, who time and time again. Now we don't know what Mel Tucker is yet, but we've been able to produce some solid ass coaches. Nick Saban, one of the best of all, fucking started at Michigan State. I'm saying, like, dude. I mean. D'Antonio, I can't believe I almost forgot his name.
Yeah.
Pat Narduzzi. I'm saying, like, it's just there's somebody out there, but I don't know. I'm not big in the coaching rankings and who Michigan can replace him with, but I feel like they have to eat these cupcakes on the schedule, and they have to beat Ohio State this year.
Right. I mean, the expectations are always going to be there, right? And if you don't get it done, if you go 0-3 at the end of the season, I mean, regardless, even if you go start the season 7-2, but you still lose to Michigan State, Penn State, and Ohio State, I mean, he has to be on the hot seat. Everybody, I don't care if you're a Michigan guy or not, everyone's going to be calling for that job. And I look to kind of the defensive side of the ball for Michigan. You got an absolute beast in Aiden Hutchinson at defensive end this year. So I know Adam said it yesterday on The Hook that the best thing that could have happened was maybe moving on from Don Brown on that defense. So maybe look for that defense to be revitalized this year. Cade McNamara showed flashes of brilliance last year in some of the games that he came in, but he also showed times where he struggled and looked inexperienced. So hopefully maybe all he needed was an offseason to kind of prepare and get ready for some college football. But Blake Corum, their running back, who I think a lot of people are kind of expecting to be the number 1 guy going into the season and maybe taking that next step. I mean, I can't really remember that good of a Michigan running back since like Chris Perry, and that was in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, they're returning a lot on defense, too. Everyone wants to know. I mean, this is the hot topic throughout Michigan. I'm a Michigan State guy. This is probably my favorite rivalry over the Michigan-Ohio State one. Who do you have in that matchup late in the year?
So I look for, you say Ohio State or the
Michigan State and Michigan.
Well, so it's actually funny. That game falls on my birthday this year,
what?
October 30th.
So you going?
I don't know. Maybe we'll take a trip down there. Maybe we might have a Woodward sports party in East Lansing.
Yo,
so East Lansing's one of the funnest towns you could absolutely tailgate in. So
yeah,
I'm looking for. Honestly, I hate to say it, and this could be a little bit homer. I look for Mel Tucker and the boys in East Lansing to kind of smack Michigan in the mouth. I do believe Michigan will be 9-0 going into that, or 8-1. They may lose that third week to Wisconsin, but they're going to be 8-1 and have a much better record than Michigan State. But Mel Tucker made those boys play last year. That for Michigan State for the next couple years or so, I think that's kind of going to be their Super Bowl game or their college football playoff game. They're going to want to beat Michigan year in and year out. So I look for Michigan State to win another close one.
Yeah, and I don't think you're a homer at all. I mean, it happened last year, and it was not supposed to.
Right. Michigan was, I believe, 22 or 23-point favorite. So
yeah.
like I said, I just don't trust Jim Harbaugh enough to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, it's approaching 12 o'clock on the dot. We got to pay the bills. Let's hit some ads. When we come back, Nick, what we got next on the schedule?
We got a little NBA talk, so don't go anywhere and stay tuned.
Woodward Sports.
We are here, downtown Fenton, my favorite Bridge Street Exchange.
That's right. And you want to switch up your wardrobe this summer? It's this easy. You ready, Joey?
I'm ready.
All right, you ready? I like it. You want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
All right. Ooh, Brixton. Nice. One more time?
Yes.
Ooh, I like the hat on this one, too. You ready to do it one more time, Joey?
I'm getting tired. One last one.
All right, let's change it. Bro, where's your shirt? You need new clothes this summer. Bridge Street Exchange in Fenton. That's where you need to go. Thank you, guys.
Welcome back to the Leach. God.
Oh, my God.
Damn.
Purpose, man. You're doing it on purpose at this point.
Welcome back to the Leach and Easy show. You're like 2 for 5 on that now. So I don't know. Maybe we just have to rename the show or something.
Very similar to LeBron James's finals record.
Yeah. Oh, Fish taking shots right out of the gate.
Damn, Fish.
But we're gonna give Easy a minute to kind of digest what he just did, as he doesn't seem to.
I'll take a LeBron James comparison. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, 2 for 5.
That's the goal.
I don't know if you want that comparison. But anyways, kind of jumping back into the show. We've done a lot of football talk so far, so I want to kind of shift the talks now to a little bit of NBA action. And obviously, there's not too much to kind of report of what the Pistons done. We've known of all the moves they made this offseason. But I kind of want to look kind of towards night one and what you expect of that lineup for the Detroit Pistons. Do you think Cade's going to be in that starting lineup night one, or do you see him coming off the bench as a 6 or 7 type guy?
You talking about regular season or summer league?
Summer
league? Oh,
yeah.
Cade's starting.
Well, no, summer league for sure. I know we know Cade's starting. I'm talking about regular season night one.
Regular season night one, yeah. You know, I just found out yesterday. Did you know that Sekou Doumbouya? See, I can say Sekou Doumbouya, but I can't say Leach. It's the craziest shit in the world. I said Fanu too, but no, Sekou Doumbouya is the longest running Detroit Piston on the team right now. Yeah. He's the most tenured vet on the team. The kid's only, what, 20? I don't think he's 20 or 21.
Yeah, he's 20 years old.
20 years old. He can't even buy a beer legally yet. That's insane. Yeah. So I definitely think you could fit Cade in that starting lineup. It's not out of the question. It's not out of the ordinary. I mean, the guy's the #1 overall pick. That's not a guy. This isn't football where, like, they have to, like, learn more of the game and IQ and stuff like that. This is basketball. If you can play, you can play. Guys used to come straight out of high school into the NBA. So, like, I expect Cade to be in that starting lineup. Now, the question is, do you expect him to be at the 1 or the 2 in that lineup?
I honestly, I think they're going to roll out the youngest roster or starting lineup that we've seen in quite some time. I think Killian will be your #1. Then I think Cade's at the 2. I think Cade's going to be playing a lot off the ball, or at least they're going to go 50-50. Maybe you have Killian play out. Killian showed flashes at the end of the season that he could actually shoot the ball a little bit, and I know that's not he's kind of a pass-first type guy, but I could see just to kind of mix things up a little bit, and then you got Isaiah Stewart playing maybe the 5, but you got Kelly Olynyk, too, that could also step in there. So I don't know if Isaiah Stewart may start the season there, but he will at least be the 6th guy. But when you take a guy like Cade Cunningham, #1, look, I think as Pistons fans, we had that hole at the 2. I don't think Josh Jackson, I mean, maybe you have him as your 2 to start the season, but I think when you take a guy that high, especially #1, it's their first #1 overall pick in 50 years. So
he's got to see it.
I think, especially from a fan standpoint, what's going to draw more fans?
Exactly. They sold 400,000 tickets as soon as they got the #1 pick, not after they drafted it. But speaking of passing, let me pass to my guy Art in the booth.
You know, you guys mentioned Doumbouya, and I can't help but play this clip.
Video.
Thank you, Kennedy. There was a clip yesterday from a press conference, and you had mentioned his longest, time with the Pistons. He's the longest active player on the roster. Here's what he had to say about that.
Sekou, how does it feel to be the player with the team the longest? Everybody else that got here when you were here is gone now.
It feels special. But at the same time, you're like, what's next? What's next for me, especially? I don't know what's going on. But I'm still in Detroit Pistons. I'm still playing for the team, so whatever happen. That's a business.
So what do you guys say to that? Because to me it sounds like he doesn't want to be on the team. Like he's looking for what's next. do you see a future with just all rookies, basically, or all one-year players, and that's it? Because you have a player like this who's like, hey, I don't know what the future holds. Does that kind of scare you?
I mean, it doesn't scare me because, like, what we saw out of the team last year was very, very competitive against a lot of good teams. In fact, they beat a lot of good teams too. I think that what you hear from Sekou right there is a lot of frustration because there's been a lot of hype around him around the city, and in terms of like what we've seen him do at times. He posterized Tristan Thompson, which good for him, but I'm not that high on Tristan Thompson to give to wave that flag around and carry it the way a lot of people do. But he's a first round pick. He hasn't really seen the floor. He's been in the league 3 years now, and he's not really getting any run. We don't really know what's going on with him yet. There's still high expectations from the fan base, period. But he's just seen this organization move past without him. It's a new regime in the front office too. He's not the guy who picked him. He's probably really concerned for his job, or just he's an asset. He's a tradable asset at this point, in my eyes.
Look, I mean, for me, Art, it's cut and dry, right? You drafted him in 2019. Yeah, he was 18 years old, excuse me. But you took him at 15th overall. Yeah. Like, I think as a Pistons fan, as an NBA fan, you look at that, you're not really looking at a 15th pick to kind of come in here and change your roster. I think you took Austin Day however many years ago at number 9. You took Stanley Johnson at 7. Like, those are all guys that have kind of come and gone. So I don't know what the people want to hang on to him because he's so young. But at the same time, too, we have yet to see any type of flash or any type of brilliance out of him. Yeah, he's had a few moments that you're like, okay, but like it's nothing, anything that's like, oh, we got to keep this guy around. And like you could tell from that video, like it sounds like he's ready for a fresh start as well. Is send him somewhere else, like especially the fact that he's been here on the bench, but he hasn't been in any type of G League. Like I think he's at a point where he just wants to get back playing basketball, regardless if that's overseas, if it's in the G League. And I get it doesn't pay to sit there and play on a G League team, more so than if you're actually on an NBA roster. But to me, it looked like a love of basketball kind of is gone from him. You look at you look at his eyes, you look at how he kind of handled that question, and it's just like he's like, yeah, that's great and all, but I'm ready for what's next for me. And that's kind of what it from based on that as well too. It's like obviously they're not telling him Casey Weaver, like I don't think he's going to be an integral part of this rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to like the entire situation, like he's not even part of this regime. Like they didn't bring him in, and it is sad. I feel bad for him, but like I have faith in the fact that Dwayne Casey's been around NBA basketball and basketball enough. I mean, he won a national championship in college. He had DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry as a number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, only to lose to the guy who's what's his record in the finals? Fish 4 and something.
4-10.
4-10. Yeah, just one of the greatest of all time.
40%. That doesn't sound like the greatest of all time.
Hey,
but I mean,
less than 1% make it there.
Last time I checked, that's an half.
I look at some of these comments in here too, and someone dropped in there said we have to stop giving up on these young players, but I don't really think that's the case at all. We've had some young guys come in and step up and be absolutely diamonds in the rough. I mean, you look at Sadiq, Isaiah Stewart, like those guys have already proven that night in and night out they can hang in the NBA, and Siakam hasn't done that. The time that he has been in there, he's kind of made the boneheaded rookie mistakes that you shouldn't be making in year 2 and moving into year 3. So
that's what I'm saying. Like I have faith that the basketball minds are in place right now, and Troy Weaver and Dwayne Casey. Like if he's not seeing the floor, it's for a reason.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm saying, especially at this point, you can't say we're giving up on young guys. He's the fucking oldest guy on the team. And he's only 20. Our whole team is young guys. You know what I'm saying? You can't say we're giving up on young guys. We're giving young guys every single chance to prove it.
It's young guys have kind of come in and overpassed him or overshadowed
him.
So like that should be like, as Pistons fans, that like I don't know what the love and fascination with him is like that should be something. Sadiq came in and easily started starting games over him with no issues at all. Isaiah Stewart's got more minutes than he did last year. Our boy Pistons Talk, Anthony, put in the chat, like he said like, he's like, people think he's going to turn into Chris Middleton. And so maybe you trade him away. Maybe like you send him off to a different, and if he turns into that, kudos to him. But I don't see him fulfilling that role here in Detroit.
Yeah, but even then, like Chris Middleton, Giannis, the guys like they want to compare him to, they didn't take this long to cook.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Giannis had those flashes in his first couple of years. Yeah, it took a while he had to put on weight. He had to do this, he had to do that. But he showed the flashes, and you're not seeing that with Siakam.
Exactly. By year 2, you've seen the jump, you know? And we're just not seeing that here. If it looks like a duck walks like a duck. You guys expect to be a fucking art bark? No, it's a duck. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I don't want to call him a bust, but he's just not. He's not what people have. I don't understand the fascination with him.
And I don't want to dwell on this too much longer because I think it's kind of been enough said. Siakam said it in that video there himself. Like it sounds like that relationship could be about done and over with. And so I kind of want to shift the talks back now to about the identity of this organization, right? We had the bad boys, right? We had the going to work Pistons. It finally feels like now we're shifting the culture here with Detroit basketball.
The culture.
Is what do you feel like the identity of this team can kind of take shape?
It's tough because like at first with Isaiah, before Cade was here, I feel like he was like going to become like the lead, in the room on the floor, and not just through like production, but through like his attitude and how he carries himself out there. And as that Detroit bad boy's like, come fuck with me, you know what I'm saying? It was that type of thing. But now that Cade's there, I think he can go almost in any direction if you can maximize the guys around him, and that's what he's known for. You know what I'm saying? So like, can we become the Warriors? That's actually kind of asinine because Steph and Claire is absolutely like all-time greats at shooting the basketball. But Sadiq Bey can shoot the ball nice. If Cade gets him in his spots, like Sadiq Bey can become a star. We have athletic guys in Jeremy Grant and Stewart. They can be yamming on guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think ultimately though it will come down to defense. Truthfully, I think defense and teamwork, just because individually we have good defenders on this basketball team and young guys too, so they have the energy to keep going all game and like the wherewithal to have something to prove. So I think they'll only get better too as their IQ of the game grows.
Well, and that's what I know a lot of people's issues with the NBA is like no one plays defense anymore, but especially now with all the flopping and stuff that you have going on, that I look for the new rules implemented. But I'm kind of with you at that standpoint too, is that that we're going to kind of have that defensive kind of mentality brought back to the city of Detroit because the league's kind of taken shape to kind of help make that happen. So I'm looking forward to be a gritty team, a young gritty team that compete night in, night out. They did it last year. So I'm looking forward for the start of Cade's career and seeing what he can kind of bring in, night out. But I believe he'll be in that opening lineup as well to kick off the night one. So
I believe we have the pieces to get the job done. And speaking of jobs, where can you start a new career, Nick? You mind telling us?
So I don't know if any of you have heard of this college called Northwestern Tech. You could start a new career today in an industry that's always essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more about that today at northwesterntech.edu. So go out, get an education, learn something for yourself, because we're always going to need AC here in summertime in Michigan.
And we're back with the Nick and Easy Show.
Oh, he got rid of the last name. You're just done with it.
I improvise. Speaking of, Fish, what are you wearing on your head right now?
What? It is a Coast headlamp that I have fell in love. Okay, I won't turn it on. It is a Coast headlamp that I fell in love with after Tiki used it for his show. I think this is low dim. There, that's low dim. So it has 3 different modes. It has high, which is like you're gonna get blind.
All right,
lower
third
mode,
guest of the show, Iron Man.
Mode,
I'm playing.
And then off. It's a really good light. I do. Okay, do you realize that I would blind them?
He has less trouble finding.
Blinded by love. Oh, okay.
Actually,
good
is hitting
point.
my left eye.
Well, anyway, I do not want to blind. No, I do not use it. But if
Blind
it works, then maybe I'll start using it.
All right.
Let's get back into the show a little bit. So
I got my eye.
Easy's getting distracted over here.
By the way, I did blind myself yesterday stupidly by turning it on. I'm like, oh god, that's bright, and I blinded myself for like 2 minutes. Not smart idea. So do not point lights or lasers into your eyes.
Well, that's why it's a headlamp.
They will
Fish.
blind
You're not
you.
supposed to point it back at your eyes. So
speaking of blinding, did anyone see the resurgence of the Detroit Tigers coming back?
Oh man, so this is where I'm excited about it. And I never thought beginning to kick the season off through the first couple weeks I'd be this excited to kind of talk Tigers baseball. But what this team has done, one since the All-Star break, one since May 8th, is you're kind of sitting back now. It's like, damn, if you didn't have that bad of an April, is where would this team kind of be sitting now? You would be sitting there kind of competing for a wild card spot. You'd be sitting there maybe even trying to flirt with the Chicago White Sox for the division. Yeah, you may be 4 or 5 games back, but it's a lot better than the 11 or 12 games that you sit now. But kind of got an interesting stat for you. Since the All-Star break, guess who leads the Major League Baseball in runs scored?
Tigers.
The Detroit Tigers with 112 runs. So they've been by far the hottest team in baseball. I mean, maybe not the hottest team as when it comes to record-wise, but this is a team
since All-Star break for sure, though, they are.
Yeah, and since May 8th, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe they're like 44-32 since May 8th. So you go back to that 2.5 week span where they went 2-15, and like kind of how the course of those 2 weeks of baseball, and that's what people don't realize about Major League Baseball, is that 2 weeks can kind of change, or 2.5 weeks can change the entire outlook on your season.
Oh, so for sure.
I'm looking now is like, can this team get even hotter? Can they go out and, yeah, we've seen once that they won 7 to 8 games. Can they go out and maybe clip off 10 games and maybe give themselves a chance at a wild card spot? I believe they still sit like 9 games back.
I'm looking right at 6.
From a wild card spot?
Yeah, or I'm sorry, they got Boston and Oakland sitting there right now, so 8. Yeah, eight spots back. They're 9th right now from a wild card spot.
Yeah, so they're 9 games back. So I look at that as like, can you get another hot streak? Boston's been struggling a bit. They've won, I believe, 1 out of their last 7 or 8 games now, and Tigers just took them for 2 games. So like again, that's two big wins there, and you've got the month of August left. You got all of September, so anything can kind of happen. Now, I'm not sitting here saying they're going to make the playoff run, but as a Tigers fan and looking towards next year, I mean, you have to be excited, especially after Chris Illich just said he's going to let Al Avila spend some money this year or this upcoming offseason.
Yeah, is this like what is this? Because is this AJ Hinch? Like, does coaching in baseball truly have that big of an impact? That like because this team, I did not expect this at all. Just like you said in April, like. People were so down on the Tigers and the organization as a total in the future, too, because no one really – I don't think too many people – I can't find too many Al Avila supporters, you know what I'm saying, hanging around town.
And I've bashed Al Avila for a lot of years. As you look at the pieces you traded away a J.D. Martinez. You traded away a Justin Verlander. And, yeah, you may have gotten a piece here or there that kind of contributed, but you traded a lot away to not get a lot back. And that's what happens when you trade for prospects. That's going to happen. But him, you have to give Al Avila credit. You got to give credit where credit's due. Is the day this 2020 season ended, he hopped on the phone right away and called AJ Hinch. And AJ Hinch was here in Detroit a day later, and you look at that now, and it's just like how monumental of that move, or how monumental that move was for this organization. I do believe that if you have a great manager in baseball, which you do have managers, but there's few and far in between of great managers in baseball. And AJ Hinch is making the case that he could be a clear-cut #1 manager in baseball, in all of baseball. What he's done with this team this year has been almost short of kind of a miracle. Like you said, I don't think – I expected them to take maybe one small step forward. I didn't expect them to take – they've taken 2 now. And if you finish the season with a winning record – that's 3. No one expected this team to finish with a winning record this year.
Yeah, I got one buddy who's in the minor leagues for the Guardians. Yeah, I got that name right. But and like I asked him, like, you know, how much does coaching really matter at this level? Because you kind of know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like you've been hitting the fucking baseball your whole life. You know, it's the pitching. It's really up to your talents and, you know, the guy who's swinging the bat. What I guess what effects of coaching, like what is Hinch doing that like is making this happen? Because he won with the Astros too.
Well, so people don't realize too is that there's a lot of downtime in baseball, right? It's very slow, so it becomes very mental at that point. So if you get in slumps or if you're struggling with something here or there, you've got a lot of time to sit there and dwell on that and I get these are professional athletes, their mentality to already get them to that level, but it takes a special mind to kind of instill a lot of trust in guys that can perform at this level. And I think AJ Hinch has done that. I mean, to start the season, he said in the bullpen, there's no clear-cut closer. There's no setup man. There's no this. There's no that. He's kind of just, like, from that standpoint, you let those guys in the bullpen just kind of come out and pitch. No one's been a clear-cut shortstop. No one's been a clear-cut second baseman. No one's been your first baseman. You've kind of just letting those guys get back to the root of playing baseball.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you've seen the success on the field, because they're not really thinking too much. They're just out there playing baseball.
Yeah, I think it's easy to do that when there's not high expectations on you as a team. That's obviously been the Tigers too.
Right, and I mean, I follow the Tigers pretty closely, so I sat there and I had my expectations of what I wanted to see out of them, and I was bashing them pretty hard when they went through that two and a half week span. And my buddy that I actually do the Going to Work podcast with, he said, like, there's no need to get this worked up yet. Like, it's fine, it's still early, and he was 100% right. He said, like, there's still a lot of baseball left, and they've turned it around. I mean, Miguel Cabrera started off the season batting just under 100, and he's batting, I believe, when I last left, 252. So to make that jump after the first part of the season, it took an adjustment period. But looking at where they're at now, they're in a far better spot than I would have even thought under AJ Hinch's first year.
Is there now that philosophy of like not really having a go-to closer per se, just kind of, picking the guy who you think fits best the scenario, like that philosophy of coaching, is that shared by like other greats, or is he kind of like the pioneer in doing that?
No, I mean look, everyone's kind of got their philosophy, like you said, right? You got guys out there that are analytical. You've got your Tony La Russa, who's just hired in Chicago, who's kind of an old school type of guy. I look at that as it just kind of what works for each team. I think you're seeing a day and age with athletes where they're not looking to get belittled and yelled at on a daily basis. They're not looking for that old school, well, we did it my way. They're looking for a guy that's really going to actually be a coach and make them kind of feel loved. And that may for some people sound soft, but I look at that. It's in all landscapes of sports right now. It's in football. It's in the NBA. It's in everything. So I'm looking forward to see what do we got fish going on over here.
That's not baseball fish. That was it a bunt? Nick was making a goddamn good point too.
Yeah, we got cricket going on.
I don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fish, what are you doing?
Fish, what are you doing in there?
Fish, are you on LSD?
I don't know what I'm on. All I know that sports.
Fish, I need some of that. You got some good shit? What you got, dog?
Myself.
Fish, we need you to hit a ball right now like you're Mickey Cabrera.
Yeah, we need a baseball swing because we're talking about baseball. Oh God, something's gonna break.
Oh, watch him look at it. I was waiting for the bat drop there, Fishy.
Yeah, T-shirt fish.
Yeah.
Yo, that could be our next merch drop.
Yeah.
T-shirt fish.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, no, I agree with you though in terms of like the mentality of like the younger athletes is like, because here's the thing too is like with social media, guys have their own platforms and they can speak their opinions and they have people who follow them and like I don't know, even more of a voice, literally. Before you're just getting yelled at, you're just kind of getting yelled at. Now you have a voice to.
When you look at, we look at just what happened with Simone Biles in the Olympics. Like mental health's a big thing, and I can sit here and say that like when you have the old school mentality was just yell. You're doing this wrong. You're doing this, that. Now I'm not saying everyone needs to be coddled, but you're looking for a family, right? And I believe that's kind of what AJ Hinch has brought with Ron Gardenhire here. He was kind of an old school type of guy. It's he always got the most out of the players, but I look to AJ now to really take, and he's already done it. He's already taken this team to the next step, and I honestly believe we can win a World Series under this guy. I mean, he's got my vote of confidence, and if he's not AL Manager of the Year, I'd be shocked especially if the Tigers finish with a winning record, and yeah, they may not make the playoffs, and that award typically goes to a team that made the playoffs that wasn't supposed to, but you have to look what he's done in just the short time and just this year, and it's been remarkable.
Do you think you pair him with a better GM now, though? Like, do we still get rid of Al Avila? Like, so we get some guys to actually give him some prospects to work with now?
I don't know. I mean, Chris Ilitch seems to have Al Avila right where he wants him. Whatever Ilitch says goes, and Avila knows that, so he's kind of playing it to the point. So Avila's never going to do anything to piss Ilitch off. So at the end of the day, I mean, we saw it with Dombrowski. Like, Illich is the one calling the shots. That family's calling the shots. If they want to win, they're just going to tell you, like, hey, go spend money, get your team together, go spend the money. So I don't think it's really necessarily a GM thing. I think it's more is if things are starting to go wrong is maybe start pointing the finger at maybe the owner and not necessarily the GM.
Ooh,
He
calls the shots because he pays the bill, and so do these advertisements. Woodward Sports.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Welcome back to Nick Leach, an easy show. I had to hit a Leach just because Fish called me out.
Yeah, you had
nice
to.
comparisons, LeBron. You put a topic on here that I found interesting. It's called Keeping Up with Kennedy. And as you guys know, Kennedy's up on all the hit news, what's trending, because she does our daily hot clocks. You can find on Instagram, Twitter, and she's easy on the eyes. So, let's put the camera on her. And what's going on, Kennedy?
Okay, so today, for my little Miss segment, we're going to do who has the best flow in the NFL. So, flow isn't that common in the NFL, first of all, and I think it should be. I think flow should be huge in every sport.
What? You got something against people without flow, Kennedy?
Sorry. No, but as a big hockey girl that you guys know that I am, because
OG
now
puck slut?
yes, okay, yep,
Me too.
we know the TikTok handle by now, but flow is my favorite part of hockey easily, and so Casey Mize is kind of rocking some flow.
Ooh.
And I adore it, and but I don't think you can have flow if you're a shit player. Like, flow means you're good. And
That's a good point.
Yeah, like if you suck and you have
Yeah.
flow, then you got to cut it.
Yeah, because then you're usually like dingy. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're shitty, you're just fucking lazy. You don't even cut your hair.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, do you have the graphic art, Artemis Smith?
Some NFL flow.
Some NFL flow. Here it is. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think Kittle is not even in the running for flow.
Is that
hair,
grease or is it wet? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, that to me is just grubby.
I don't think Kittle's washed his hair in what seems to be 4 or 5 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree.
That listens to metal.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Art? The mic was off.
I said he looks like a basement dweller that listens to metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
He actually looks like my old boss that fired me. So
yeah, fuck that guy.
I think we're kind of sleeping. Obviously, you look at Hawks. Hawks got better hair than I've seen on some women before. But
yeah,
I mean, look at that thing.
Hawk looks like he could have been in Zeppelin back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the newest
guitar.
He's the newest member of Greta Van Fleet.
He looks like a Game of Thrones character.
Yeah.
I think Hawk kind of looks like a disciple of Jesus or something right now.
Yeah.
Like he should be rocking the Birkenstocks that I'm rocking right now, and just
Jesus ones.
I think we left kind of a few names out. You got to look at a guy like, what about like Tom Brady's flow back in the day?
Oh
When
yeah.
some throwback.
It annoyed the fuck out of me, honestly. But I didn't like Tom Brady back then. Now he's got my respect. So like it's different. Yeah. Out of those three, I picked Tanya. I think Tanya was rocking the flow the best there.
That's what I would agree with that too, and it's because
he's also like the better looking guy though too. Is that fair?
He is handsome. Yeah.
It's all about that jawline.
But also, it's the only one that's like an actual flow, because flow is like pushed back and flowing, where Hawks is kind of just like
chilling.
Like it's curly, which a lot of flow is, but it normally like curls up at the bottom. So I would have to agree
but Brady had like a sweaty flow. It just always looked greasy.
Like when it wasn't Art, he looked like, I don't know how to explain. It was like a coconut thing.
He looked like he was on Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Yes. That's money.
Or
like
Backstreet Boys
that.
or something like that. I could see that. No, I think a guy that we're not even talking about is, we've already talked to him once on the show, is Derrick Henry.
I was going to ask that. Do dreadlocks count as flow?
No.
Dreadlocks don't count as flow?
Oh, that's racist.
Yeah,
no,
that's
it's
racist.
not. It's not flow though.
Yeah, forget about hot clock. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's not. Why is it not flow? What makes dreadlocks not flow?
Flow is, like I said, it's like
white.
Flowing. Yeah, it is.
Oh,
but
no,
it is. That's just it, because it was like it's like a hockey lacrosse thing,
shit.
which is predominantly.
White.
White.
What
Yes.
about what about?
What do you mean? Like is flow? Like, what do you mean? Like just like white? Like it's like this? Because flow is like just flows in the air, right? Because like,
Right.
thin
Yeah. I
ones can
guess
flow.
we'd have to define flow.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
I do like his look though. I'm not gonna knock Henry here.
What about the best mustache and all? What about Gardner Minshew?
Oh.
How did we forget about Gardner?
Oh, that
I
thing's
love
not flowing.
that
thing's
mustaches are making a
stabbing.
comeback.
Yeah, that's stabbing right
You said
there.
you love that
I
mustache?
love it. Mustaches are making a comeback right now,
Damn it.
and it's awesome.
He's art shade this morning. He's like, "Fuck, I knew it."
I can't grow facial hair. Fish and I have an agreement right now, so I've been growing a little bit of chin stubble. And if Fish shaves it this
Which
weekend,
I will.
I'm going to shun you. So, we can't all have the whole.
Mine's a little patchy though. Don't let this fool you.
I want to see Easy start rocking like a Fu Manchu.
What's that? Is that like this thing?
Or no, the handlebars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to make a bet with somebody like during the football season this year. I want like the loser has to just rock the stash for like the next week.
Well, you can't do it with me because Kennedy has more of a chance of growing a mustache before I do. So.
Yeah, same. Mine looks like a little dirt stash. I can't really do much.
That's how my shit was, but you got to give it a chance. Like you got to be willing to like let it look. Like,
I've been waiting 31 years. I've waited long enough. But when you so like an official ruling, let's look over these again. Who are we picking?
I'm not picking it either. I'm going Gardner Minshew.
You want stash route?
Yeah. Well, no, he's got a flow. He's got flow too.
Gardner Minshew does got some flow. Actually, he rocks the shit too, and he's got the little little 8th grade girl bandana thing.
Yeah.
What do you call it, Kennedy? What Gardner Minshew rocks? A little. I don't know, holds his hair back. It's kind of like Trevor Lawrence's, who also has flow, but like thinner.
Oh, like how he rocks
hairband.
that headband?
Hairband, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the headband look with the flow.
We got
That's approved.
We got people in the chat saying too hawk to handle. Hawk's got locks. It's getting hawk in here.
Ooh.
It's getting hawk in here.
It's like our own fans are crushing on our boy TJ Hawk a little bit.
Oh God,
for sure.
I have a crush on him.
I'm looking to see if Kennedy was canceled too. I'm looking for those comments. Right?
I think people are looking. All right, before we get to our next break, I gotta ask you, Kennedy, who's your number one flow guy in the NHL?
Oh, in the NHL?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, so they all like
Art's
cut their
face right
hair.
now.
You guys, I mean, I know.
It's frozen.
What?
Oh
the
no.
whole screen, the whole computer's frozen.
Oh no! Can you hear me at least?
Yeah.
See if the chat if we're still on.
Chat, are we still on?
Chat, are you there? If it's not, I mean, we can't just leave dead air. Nick, spit a hot 16.
Yeah, spit a hot 16 real quick.
I don't think I have that skill
hard
in me.
pass there.
Yeah, let's.
But I mean, like Patty Kane always has good flow when it comes down to it. I'm not really a big fan of his. Oshie is the most immaculate looking human in pretty much the world ever. I mean,
That's offensive.
I'd probably go, but throwback Zetterberg had the best flow hands down of all time.
Ooh, what about? So I look at a guy like Victor Hedman down in Tampa Bay. Sick flow.
Yeah.
But I'm all about the flow in hockey too. I'm actually glad this subject
It's
kind
so
of got brought
nice.
up.
I was gonna say, how
a
funny-
little bit out of the helmet, you're like, yeah,
The one time like the sports show gets frozen is when we're talking about hair.
right,
It's fucking
yeah.
just
Oh, we're back, baby.
We back.
We're
We're
back.
back. Let's go.
Bald and beautiful. Fuck your flow. No,
Yeah.
I'm playing.
No,
All right.
I
We are here.
Thank
still
God.
on.
I had to bring up that keeping up with Kenny. I felt like that was just an easy
yeah.
segment to kind of implement.
What's
I'm
up,
surprised
Art?
it hasn't been done yet.
Oh yeah,
Damn,
you're
Mike.
good.
I tried loading up the pick of the stash and it froze everything.
It's just too hot to
It
handle.
was just too much, man.
Yeah,
Too
the-
hot to
the
handle
stashes
bar.
are too hot.
That's what Gardner Minshew will do to you.
Is there-
make you freeze?
Is there a game on the Lions schedule or Michigan State schedule that we could bet that mustache thing on?
Ooh, you could go. Oh, what? All right, so I know you're gonna be in LA.
Yeah.
So you think?
Fuck, bro, that's like a.
You think the Lions are gonna beat LA out in LA?
I was drunk on Kool-Aid when I said that.
It don't matter. You made the bet, and
fuck.
I'll get to it at the end of the show. I'm not gonna bring it up right now. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for the end of the show. But let's go that Week 7 game.
Let's go to break and we'll figure it out. I made another bet today. It was pretty stupid.
I know.
We probably should talk about it. You saw that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bring it up at the end of the
All
show.
right, Woodward Sports.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back to the Leach and Easy Show. I did it for the second time, and I ain't got flow, so fuck your flow. So we had Nate Burleson on today, former teammate of a soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Calvin Johnson. And you guys were talking about Calvin. I was getting kind of, not emotional, but I was getting kind of heated yesterday listening to the hook. You guys, no, it wasn't you so much, actually. I think it was more Adam.
Yeah, so obviously we talked about it a little bit on the hook, but I mean, it's Friday, it's the end of the week. The ceremony is going to take place this weekend in Canton for Calvin Johnson, and I think as Lions fans, this will kind of be it, right? You're not going to really hear too much about Calvin Johnson after this fact, and it's been big, and we'll always, Lions fans, I'll always have a love for Calvin Johnson no matter what, but I look at it now as, after his ceremony this weekend, do you think there's any way to kind of repair this relationship? Is there... I would imagine that when Sheila Ford came out last year and said that they were going to try to make things right with him, like, you would want to do that before you make the ceremony into the Hall of Fame, so that when he makes his speech, he talks about the Lions organization, because based on what we've seen from him, he's not going to say a lot of positive things, or he's just not going to say anything at all. And he'll talk about his teammates a lot. I'm sure you'll hear about Matthew Stafford at Burleson. I'm sure you'll hear all those great names, but the organization as a whole, I feel like we've hit a point that you're not, I almost feel like it's too broken beyond repair. Oh, absolutely it is. Because, like, at this point, it's $1 million, right? Trump changed to, for sure, the Ford family. And I'm sure, I don't know what Calvin's financial situation is now, but I'm sure Trump changed to him as well. It's like, just $1 million? If the Ford hasn't been able to cough that up to mend this, especially he's going to the Hall of Fame, like, it's way beyond repair. I don't think Calvin's, like, where he gets $1 million and he's good now, because, like, it's a principle of it at this point. And, like, to be honest with you, all the good feelings that I've had about us moving forward as a franchise in the Detroit Lions, like, this is kind of, like, held me back a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of alarming, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? What is this? Like, what's going on? Especially $1 million to Calvin Johnson, who, like, you could say whatever, like, contractually, obviously they're obligated to do whatever they wanted and withholding that $1 million. But, like, it seems as if that's a trend here in Detroit, because we had it happen with Barry, had it happen with Calvin, and then obviously Matt left too, like, Matthew, I know, hates to be called Matt.
Yeah, well, I don't even necessarily think it's $1 million, and I know that's something a lot of the fans want to dwell on and so on and so forth, but I look at it just from a respect standpoint is, again, Sheila Ford, like, she told us they were going to sit down and have a conversation, and then Calvin Johnson sat here in our own studio and said, no, I haven't heard anything from him yet.
What the fuck?
So, like, that, for me, like, that was a bit alarming, and obviously I'm not going to sit there and talk about the team as itself, but, like, if you say you're going to do something, why hasn't been done yet? And maybe I'm not going to say Calvin was sitting there lying. Maybe they have reached out and he doesn't want anything to do with him, with the organization itself. But he sat there. He seemed to be pretty open to wanting to repair that relationship because it played an important role in his life.
Yeah, he gave a lot to this franchise, man. I get it. He's just one player. He never equated to, like, actual, like, playoff wins or, like, anything prestige. I mean, he did set records here. He sold tickets, sold jerseys, like. It's so weird, honestly. And what's even weirder, like you said, is that, like, the Ford family, in all due respects, let the media run with this narrative that things were mended, and in actuality, it wasn't.
Yeah, and there hasn't been step one in that process whatsoever.
And it's all, again, over $1 million, which to you and I would be life changing, right?
Yeah.
Like, we could finally pay off those bookies chasing us because we never grew those mustaches that one time. But, like, it's heartbreaking, not just because I love Calvin and I had season tickets and I was a huge fan of him and everything he did and the memories he gave me and my family, but also because I love this fucking team, and it makes me feel like there's an anchor on what we could ever be because of that type of leadership. Because it's not just Calvin, like I said, it's been Barry.
Yeah, but like, and they went out and they repaired that relationship. I mean, Barry was kind of part of the team that brought in Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell now. So I look at it from that standpoint as maybe it does need time, but I feel like you'd at least want to mend that relationship before a guy that was a first ballot Hall of Famer and arguably one of the best receivers of all time is getting ready to be inducted. I mean, I know it's too late now, but for me, it just feels unrepairable, and I don't want to dwell on that too much. I know we've talked about it a lot over the last couple months ever since he has been inducted. So kind of as we lead into his ceremony and everything this weekend. When you think back to Calvin Johnson and the Lions, what are you going to remember most about him?
Two moments for me. First of all, whenever you put on his highlights, it's fucking insane what this guy could do. Number one memory, and it's not going to resonate with everybody else. It's more so like me personally. I used to have season tickets to the Lions, and there was one game against the Cincinnati Bengals where I had to use the restroom. My seats were in the end zone. I got up, and I'm sitting in the aisleway, and I'm like, fuck, I don't, like, maybe I should wait. But I honestly don't remember if I went and came, but I remember just sitting there in the aisleway on the stairs during the play where he caught the football over 3 defenders in my end zone, and it was like time froze in that moment.
Yeah.
And I saw him pinpoint the ball at his highest point, like only he can, because he's 6'5" with a 42-inch vertical, and it's just like he's truly was a specimen and amazing to watch. And the craziest thing too is like he's a good guy. Like when we met him, it's crazy to think it's Calvin fucking Johnson, right? Like he's a Hall of Fame player. Like he's done things that we've never seen done before on the football field. And like if it didn't feel that way just because he kept it so casual, and it's the weirdest thing to me.
Right, and that's kind of obviously right. We're going to see these highlights for as long as we live.
Yeah.
Right. There's no doubt in my mind. He's again one of the best receivers to ever step foot on a football field. I think some of the stuff that we're going to remember him for too is like it's
look at he just pushed him off like a fucking 8th grader, like.
But like you look back to the Calvin Johnson rule against the Bears, is that play there that changed the way that catches in the NFL have been called for the last 10 years. I know a lot of people think Des Bryant started that, but no, it all started with
the Calvin Johnson rule, yeah.
And it almost feels like the NFL did that to try to slow him down.
There's a Lions thing, dude. We always get shit. Look at this, man. What's
absolutely insane about this game is he had 329 yards in a single game.
I was gonna say
against Dallas,
and the Cowboys knew the ball was going to him too.
Right.
That was,
and they couldn't do anything because of these catches, like just these unorthodox, like. I can either catch it without jumping, or I can jump above 17 other football players and catch it. It's nuts. He's a legend.
Well, not to get too far off topic, because I know this is kind of about Calvin Johnson, but like Matthew Stafford isn't going to have that. Like Kenny Galladay could go up and pinpoint some balls last year. Like that's not the type of offense Matthew Stafford's going to be moving into in LA. So that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But Calvin, how humble he was.
Oh, absolutely.
Is even on like the touchdown celebrations, we're used to watching guys like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens who knew they were the best of the best, and they showboated it in the end zone time and time again every time they made it. And Calvin never really did that. He was humble. Yeah, he did his little dunk or layup, but it was kind of very Barry Sanders-esque. It was all about the team. He came back and celebrated with the team, Stafford and those guys, and never really showboated about it. And that's, for me, I always look at guys like that, of people I look up to more, especially as you're growing up and you're playing sports, of how can I make my mentality more like that? And it's just go humble and just go out and be a dog.
I feel like the Calvin rule came because he was humble, because when he caught that touchdown in Chicago, instead of dancing and doing shit like that, he handed the ball off to the ref.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like that's part of fault, I guess, for being humble, but I kind of want the chat to holler back, like, what is the most memorable Calvin Johnson highlight to you guys? Because there's just so many. Like, the other one I want to say that's probably more signature to everybody else to resonate with is, like, I don't remember if you remember, I don't think it was a 329-yard game. I think it was a couple years before that. But it was a game where the season kept catching 2 touchdowns like each game.
Yeah.
So every fucking game, this guy was getting 2 touchdowns. And I think it's Des Bryant was, like, talking the most shit. As he does. That's what Des Bryant does. And he's talking about, like, oh, I'm the best receiver. I can't wait for this game, to show you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm the guy. And here comes Calvin Johnson. Fucking the 2 touchdowns he had were on 6 different, you know what I'm saying? Each time. They were 3 triple coverage.
Yeah. And I think you're going to look back to that game against Dallas where Stafford and those guys came down the field and scored with just, I think, 48 seconds left.
Most
there's the clip
Lions
right there.
moment in my life.
That for me, that's probably my favorite game of all time. Calvin made a big catch during that.
I got goosebumps, man.
But I'm just like kind of excited. You're excited to. I mean, when's the last time we've watched a Lions player get inducted that we can remember playing? Like for me,
exactly. This is the first for us.
For me, this is the first.
Yeah.
Like, I was too young to kind of remember Barry before he went off. I mean, I'm only 27 years old, so I don't remember the Barry Sanders days that well. Calvin, for me, is going to be the first guy. So it's crazy to think I've watched Piston players now. Ben Wallace being inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I've watched Calvin now. We've seen. We'll see Verlander here one day.
You know what this means, dude? We're getting old, bro.
Yeah, fuck, man.
We're getting fucking old. Like the guys we grew up watching are getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, and think about that. Calvin's only, what, 34, 35 years old?
Yeah.
And he's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
And
you see an athlete, and especially like with fighters, I'll see fighters they usually peak in their 30s, and I'm 31 years old. So I look at a fighter that's the same age as me, or maybe born around the same time, and you realize how much of a lazy piece of shit you are, because there's athletes that are like yoked out, and it's like I'm laying in bed eating Doritos, eating ice cream, watching athletes like go. It just makes you feel like, man, that could have been me.
Well, no, dude, Calvin Johnson's 6'5".
Yeah, but you know,
look, UFC I could see, because you know they're not like superior athletes.
I could have been the Uriah Hall, but without the butt chin, you know. But instead, I'm here.
Well, for me, I look at golf, right? I mean, you guys all know I'm a huge golfer. I'm an assistant golf pro out at Walnut Creek. So for me, I watch tons of golf, and some of those guys don't start peaking until their late 20s and into their early 30s. So I think that kind of speaks volumes for a lot of people. Like, yeah, you may think that you're getting old, but at the same time, too, like, I'm starting to get in the age now where it's maybe I'm hitting that peak of athletic ability or getting in the best shape of my life. So for me, I'm glad Art actually brought that up, because that's kind of how I think as well, is that like just because you're getting older in your 20s doesn't mean your body's necessarily slowing down. I believe that's more of a mental thing. So I firmly believe Calvin could have kept playing another 5-6 years. It just,
for sure,
he said here on the show again, he would have gone anywhere else, but they didn't let him, so he chose to hang it up.
Bro, he was talking about going to Green Bay, man. I'm looking at some of the comments for the most memorable games. The Philly game, we caught the football in snow. Do you remember he shook it off like a fucking beast?
Yeah, that was sweet.
Sick.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's one of the best photos of all time. You gotta think, Detroit's got some pretty cool photos now, with Miggy hitting that home run earlier this year in the snow, and then Calvin, the snow game, looking like an actual transformer.
I think Joik, didn't Joik hurdle someone that game too? Or am I thinking another game?
No, you might have been right.
I think Joik, that guy's a fucking freak too. But no, Calvin, man, the other thing too, actually, when I watch his highlights, I get sad thinking about that, because we didn't give him like a playoff win or Super Bowl and stuff like that. It's like, how the fuck did we waste that?
Yeah, but I mean, you look at players too across the league, is like you got a guy like Larry Fitzgerald who has played 16, 17, 18 years now, who, he went to the Super Bowl, but he still doesn't have one.
But still, like you said, he went.
Yeah.
He has the memory of being there, he has the experience of it. And the other thing too is like Calvin, I don't know, he wanted that. And not only did we like, no, we're not trading you, like also we're keeping your money.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to say we, because like I'm not French and I'm not part of the guys who made those decisions, but it makes me sad sometimes watching his highlights.
Yeah, I think every player, though, too, you step in the league and that's what you want. But that's ultimately, it's not going to happen. So do I feel bad? No. I mean, he had a great career here, and he could have gone off and done what Randy Moss did in New England. Randy Moss made it to the Super Bowl, but he didn't win it either. So it's just like it's not always meant to happen.
You ever like I think you and I talked about this too, like when you're watching like a movie or something like nationally, and like they point out something in Michigan or Detroit, you're like, oh.
Yeah. Calvin
also gave me that, because he was the first like Detroit athlete, or Lion, which is my favorite sport initially, that was marketed that way too. Calvin Johnson was always in Nike commercials, or like, you know what I'm saying, and he was even he gave me those type of memories too, man. I'm glad we got to witness him. I wish things could have went differently, with him in the Lions franchise.
I gotta say this. 2 days ago, MMA was your favorite sport. Now NFL.
No, I said was.
Oh, so it switches every day.
No, it's literally just now said was. When football was my favorite
Leach
sport.
Too. Let's try and.
I know Leach.
Yeah.
You're into the Easy and Lynch show? No, I'm joking.
All right, we got to get to this last break, but we got a fun little segment that we're going to kick off, or kind of end this Friday with for everybody watching. So stay tuned. Woodward Sports.
You don't fumble the ball at work. Hey, Drake Bell, Sean Baligian. See you guys next weekend.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, Bell's so wait till it comes to New Zealand. For that hell.
All right, well, welcome back to the Leach and Easy Show. That's how it's done there, Easy. We're going to get into our last fun segment of the show, and this is kind of something that I've brought over from my podcast that I host. So for those that you don't know, we do have, it's called the Going to Work podcast on the network. You can find it anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere, Google Podcasts. And it's hosted by me, my buddy Steady Eddie, Mad Mac, and the legend Luke. So it's just 4 guys each week. We'll kind of recap Detroit sports week in and week out. We have fun segments. It's kind of just like sitting back with the boys and kind of kicking the shit. We've been doing a Sports Jeopardy segment week in and week out. That's been an absolute blast. I may have won that about 5 out of 8 times now. No reason to brag here. But so the way I kind of want to end this Friday for all of us is this is the only second ever time I've co-hosted a live show. I did the one yesterday, now today. So I wanted to bring a little bit of the Going to Work podcast here to a live show. So my segment that I have for you guys is, what is your MVP of the week? So this can be anywhere. It could be a most valuable player. It could be most volatile person. It could be most vicious prop. So I'm going to kick it off with you, Easy, first, because I think you got a pretty good one.
I got a good one. It's currently cooking up. I apologize for throwing this to you last minute. Are you ready for it? MVP is, this is Art always calls me selfish and stuff. Yeah, this is right up his alley. My dumbass, myself. This morning I decided to fire off a tweet from the Speakeasy account, and I said, if Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions are in the playoffs at the end of the season, I'll give whoever retweets this $100. Do you see the retweets there, Nick?
Yeah, you're in big shit, my brother. If the Lions win 10 games,
1,000 fucking retweets. I had celebrities retweeting this shit. I'm like looking at my phone's blowing up. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, and I'm trying to, give me a follow at least. I'm 100. Yeah, are you doing math on that real quick? Is that what you're typing in?
No, I already know the math behind it.
What is it?
That's gonna be 100 G's, my brother.
You can't do that math.
I'm not. I have a rule. Honestly, God, I have a rule. Since streaming in my live basement, I will not do math on live air.
Let me help you. Let me help you. So if you have 100 and then you have 1,000,
I get that.
You grab the zeros. You add them all together.
I get that.
Yeah, that's all you gotta
can
do.
you solo cam just real quick?
Yeah.
Just Mr. Chad Johnson.
Yep.
If the Detroit Lions make the playoffs this year, is there any way I get like an advance on my next
12 years.
5 years salary so I can pay up on this Twitter bet my dumbass made? By the way, you can follow me at Speakeasy Sports _
Yeah.
Shameless
you
plug.
might get some dumbass bets that you can make some money off of. So
I'm gonna leave it up there, just keep the clout, because I could just like low key delete it. Yeah. But around week 8, if the Lions are winning, I might have to delete that one.
What if they just start the season 8-0? I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm saying
I fucked myself even more talking about this on air now too, because it could be clipped and I can delete the tweet, and now I just fucking did this. So
yeah.
Can there be a dumbass of the day? I don't want to call myself the MVP for that one.
You might be the dumbass of the day on Monday for the Morning Woodward show.
Yeah.
All right,
fitting.
Let's get it over to Kenny, because Easy actually kind of took my MVP post, so I'm going to try to come up with one here in my head in just a second. So I'm going to throw it over to Kennedy for her MVP of the week.
I'm going to go ahead, and my MVP is going to stand for most vulnerable players, and it's going to go to everyone on the Jags team, because Urban Meyer is making cuts based off of one-on-one drills. And that's how he's going to decide who gets cut from the team. He's got like these days that he's calling winners and losers days. First one was Wednesday, and I think yesterday was a winners and losers day as well. And so good luck to all of those players. That has to be a shit ton of pressure. That like if I F up this drill, I'm going to get cut today. So RIP Jags.
Yeah, shout out. Could you imagine like, hey, if you go through like the tires the wrong way, you trip and fall, hey, you're cut.
James Winston,
get out.
Get out. James Winston would not make that team.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings me into my MVP of the week. Is I don't know, Art, do we got the video for this or no?
No, I didn't send him a good clean one.
Okay. So we don't have the video for this, but it's all over social media right now. It's absolutely hilarious. So my MVP is most vicious prop, and so if you haven't seen it, Jameis Winston was doing. They were going through like almost like trying to go in between the tackles of like bouncing off these props. Yeah. And you see a bunch of the running backs do it, some of the other quarterbacks, and Jameis Winston comes through in the second to last one, just kind of blows him up, and he starts stumbling through the prop. I don't even know what you call it, but it was absolutely hilarious to watch it. And he was sitting there, he recorded after and kind of was making fun of himself. So he's like, damn, that second to last one got my ass. So it was a great clip to kind of see out at training camp, and it's just the most Jameis video of all time, and I think that's what made it so great.
That's facts. It's the most Jameis Winston shit he could have done all training camp.
So I'm excited to see what happens down there in New Orleans with Jameis this year. Like I said, I think Taysom Hill's kind of slated to be the Week 1 starter, but I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of platoon that position. I think we're going to see something we haven't seen before.
I can see that for sure.
Jameis is definitely my MVP.
I feel like you got a good one.
Yeah, I've got two actually. My MVP for last weekend was Sean Strickland. He set the UFC middleweight record for most significant strikes as he beat Uriah Hall. He's a spectacle, man. He really showed out. He was the headliner of last week's card. My future MVP is for the main event for this Saturday, and it's got to be the Black Beast. 10-0 in Houston. If he wins this, he's got a title shot. The man is going up against 9-0 Cyril Gane, and we'll have the watch party this Saturday. But he's got everything it takes to win. And plus, if you're a bettor, my bookie's got him at like a plus 280. So, I mean, it would be a pretty big deal to win in the hometown of Houston. And, we'll see what happens.
He's a bald man, by the way, Kennedy.
He is
a bald black
I have no problem.
No flow on that
with bald men. Let it be known.
It's the black ones then.
No, Jesus Christ, no.
Fish, you got
we
an
gotta get over
MVP?
to Fish. Who's he got for his MVP?
MVP, probably the Olympics.
I'm still picturing Fish just tripping balls in the fucking fish tank.
You said the Olympics?
Yeah, just enjoying the Olympics, getting up early, watching the Olympics. Have been very exciting. Seeing all the people win medals, the track and field, the swimming, the basketball. By the way, USA plays France tonight. The women are going to play as well in the gold medal game. Baseball, USA played Japan tomorrow for the gold medal.
Yes,
so
sir.
just enjoying the Olympics. Another big weekend of sports ahead. CFL started last night, Canadian Football League. Y'all didn't talk about it. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
Must have missed that one.
You get to see some actual regular season action instead of the preseason BS that you saw last night.
Fish, the CFL is like a step down from preseason football.
Well, it is not. That is your opinion, and I respect your opinion.
I respect yours as well,
the CFL is a lot bigger than people in America think.
Can I have one more MVP?
Yeah, you can add.
Yeah, we got time left. Let's go.
Anyone who likes and shares this live stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on anything that helps support us in this network, especially me and my boy Nick. This is our first time up here together. I would love to do this another time. The more likes, the more retweets, all that good shit will afford us to keep doing this, because this is like my dream job, man. So
Yeah.
anybody who's doing that today, liking and sharing this stream, especially liking it at the very least, it's so fucking easy.
Yeah.
So easy. Just turn that button blue, white, whatever you're at, please.
By the way, the CFL game was on ESPN2, so someone in America
This
must have thought it was a good
Woodward
idea to put CFL on ESPN2.
Hey,
National television, by the way.
Preseason was on the Fox here. I know we got a couple minutes left, so Fish, I got to ask you, what's your favorite event of the Olympics?
Favorite event? Probably the obscure ones, because you don't really see them. So the swimming, the track, you really only see them every 4 years. Yeah, they have world championships every year, but it's not big to anyone, other than obviously them and their parents and a few people watch.
I honestly thought you were going to say, like, the speed walking. I don't know if you guys have seen
I
the
did
speed
watch
walking.
the race walking.
Fuck, speed walking's a thing, but they don't have MMA?
The race walking
That pisses
was
me
yesterday, and the winner was 3 hours and 50 minutes.
Does that piss you off? How sweet would MMA be as a fucking Olympic
it was
sport?
50 kilometers, I think.
Okay.
I
think
will
that's
say,
how long it was.
Fish and I lately, he's one of my best friends here, and I really do mean that. Him and I go for walks, and we walk across Woodward, and I feel like I have to protect him, so I make sure that he's closest to the sidewalk, and I'll take the hit. I got kids, but I'll take the hit. But I will say, Fish, you are a phenomenal fast walker. Like, walking across Woodward, he walked between 14 cars and was like, I'm already on the other side. I had to catch up with him.
Do you remember he was kicking the football at the high school field? We're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude, this kid, I swear, if we go out there and watch, it was football
He's
too.
a hidden athlete. Yeah.
So I got a fun little story.
I have one speed,
a lot
fast walk, and that's it.
A lot of people actually don't know this, so and I know a lot of viewers and listeners love Fish. So this is a quick story before we kind of wrap the show up. I've actually known Fish since he was probably 7, 8,
guppy.
9 years old. I've
Since he was
actually
a
known
guppy.
Fish for a long, and I just found this out the other day. I had no idea. I finally took put 2 and 2 together, but I used to work at Plum Hollow Country Club in Southfield, and Fish used to be out there with his parents golfing all the time, and he'd come down to the bag room, get his clubs, go to the range, practice, do junior golf there. So I've actually known Fish a long time, and it's kind of crazy to think how life comes
It's a small world,
full
man.
circle sometimes. So it's been awesome to see. I couldn't be more than happy to be here, and especially being on a live show with Fish in the audio booth. It's just crazy how life kind of works out.
Don't
sometimes.
bow to him.
I didn't bow to him.
We have a thing to where
It's the hand signal.
I thought
what the
I
hell
thought
is
I was
going
the
on
only one
here?
that he bowed to, and I bow to him, and he's bowing to everybody.
I did not bow to him. I hand signal. You not know the point of.
All right. Well, thank you guys for enjoying us on this fine Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Again, like he just said, we hope to come back and kind of do this sometime in the near future. So hit that like button,
yeah.
hit the share button. Again, have a great weekend. But this is Leach and Easy signing off.
Lynch.